Welcome to America's Day at the Races, Sunday edition, as we get set for Aqueduct and Oaklawn Park, our show on FS2. We're glad to have you with us. I'm so used to doing it one way. We don't do it that way anymore. I caught myself. Welcome to South Ozone Park, New York. Sun is shining. We turned the clocks back. I got here on time. And we're going to have much later evenings now going forward.
Yeah, no, we're happy not to leave here in the pitch black as we did change the clocks. We hope you change your clocks. If you shouldn't change your clocks, you're probably not watching at this point. Interested to talk about today's card and also interested to talk about some of the big races we ran yesterday. Obviously, the return of Torpedo Anna, really the biggest news in racing, and she did not disappoint, but Tampa Bay Derby as well.
Yeah, Greg Wolf, Andy Serling with you. We'll bring the rest of the crew here in just a little bit. Our feature race here today, that is race 8. It's a really interesting race because 4 of the main players coming off lengthy layoffs.
No, it is really interesting. There's 6 horses in here, and 4 of them, all of whom have the credentials to win this race. In fact, they are the first, second, third, and fourth choices on the line, but they're all coming off layoffs, and that makes for a bit of a guessing game unless you want to be like Greg and I and take a horse like the 3, 24 Mamba, who has recency.
Now, who's 10-1 morning line. Meanwhile, High Elk, one of those 4, is coming off a long time away. January 6, 2024, last time he ran for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott.
He's actually never won since winning the Saratoga Special as a 2-year-old. Obviously, he suffered a significant injury when he was in the Fountain of Youth and things went bad, to say the least. And while he's shown some signs, interestingly enough, the best races that he's ever run since the Fountain of Youth have been with Katie Davis. Yeah. Where's Katie?
Not aboard this afternoon. It's Jose Lezcano, and
he's not bad, but
it was a positive sign because it looked like kind of he just didn't want to run anymore, and then all of a sudden she got on board and sort of found himself again, even though he didn't win.
I actually not kidding, and Jose Lezcano is a great rider. In no way would I ever impugn his talents, but this is a horse that really got his act back together when Katie rode him. And whatever it is, the horse responded to her. And it was good to see him running well, but he's coming off a long layoff, and he still hasn't won a race since he was a 2-year-old.
Now, another one coming off a long time away, June of last year for trainer Chad Brown. Klarovich Stables had his reasoned analysis, who had a big moment in the Bayshore, beating Maximus Meridius better than 15-1. Of course, Maximus Meridius has turned into a monster.
And you have to like the fact that he was showing gradual improvement before he went on the shelf after his 4th place finish in the Woody Stevens. The thing about it is he's a deep closer, and he's in a race that has at best a bit of a murky pace, especially with the scratches in here. So he's probably compromised from a race dynamic standpoint. And also, it's been an unusual winter for Chad Brown, where his horses have been underperforming, particularly here in New York. And listen, if you're going to have a bad run, and he had a good day at Tampa, to say the least, yesterday with a couple of stakes winners, if you're going to go through a slump, you want it to be in the winter when you're sort of getting things together. But at some point, you want to see these horses start running better.
Tricky race. As you said, we both like a horse who just really has the recency. We'll talk more about him when we get to it, but that's 24 Mamba, who's been on the track of late and actually runs some sneaky good races.
I agree. I mean, I think he can be somewhat forward near as well with the scratches.
Today's action presented by Claiborne Farm. Aqueduct races 5 through 9, joining us just in time for the start of the late pick 5 coming up. We're fast here. Muddy in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We'll check in with the Mig in a bit. Races 4 through 10 to come, the 9th, their feature.
I just hope Mig isn't lonely after Maggie and Lafitte have left him. Had a big weekend there, but he'll be here holding down the fort at Oaklawn Park. Looking forward to hearing from him.
Well, you can get involved in this late pick 5, our cross-country pick 5, which begins with the 5th at Oaklawn, all by getting started right there. That $200 deposit match new customer bonus. Punch in the code MATCH200. Take advantage and bet any track, anywhere, anytime at NYRABets.com. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back with the post parade from the 5th, 14 minutes away. We'll look back at the Tampa Bay Derby, wire to wire. Murad Ortiz Jr. on Owen Almighty, and trainer, owner. Different thoughts on where they might want to go next. We'll have that when we come back.
Deep in the heart of horse country, from these Kentucky hills has sprung a legacy rivaled by few. From the all-time greats of yesterday to the breed-shaping bloodlines of today, our roots hold strong with the promise of tomorrow. For over a century, our passion has guided us to where we stand and everything we stand for. Claiborne Farm, the tradition continues.
Good to have you with us on our Sunday coverage on Fox Sports 2. Look at Oaklawn. Muddy conditions. About 7 minutes away from this fourth race coming up. Condition $8,000 claiming race, 6 furlong sprint. Fillies and mares 3 and up.
Yeah, I thought this was a fairly wide open race, actually, when you look at it. And the board kind of agrees the 10 is the 2-1 favorite. You put a gun to my head, I was kind of interested in the 5 Proud Mule in this race, who I thought got into a pace that completely collapsed last time. Interested to see what Richie thinks of that one, but at 7-1, I'm going to bet.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Quick 3 furlong drill to put some speed into that horse as well.
Feels like the speed of the speed, hopefully.
Post parade coming up. Favorite outside, Adiva, who we'll get to momentarily, coming off a second-place finish against slightly maybe tougher group.
Yeah.
It was 33-1.
I don't have a problem with that horse. I wouldn't bet 2-1 on anybody in this field. To me, this feels like a much more competitive field than that.
Going to kick off the post parade here in just a second with Royal Blush from the inside for trainer Norm McKnight.
Yeah, I don't think this horse is impossible. Norm McKnight, a horse that is trying the dirt. The 10-pound Bug Rider worries me a bit, but does drop down.
6-year-old mare by Kitten's Joy, known more for their turf prowess.
Not a lot of Kitten's Joy still running, huh?
Yeah.
Not enough.
Lady of Devon, Christian Torres aboard.
Interestingly enough, while horses don't usually win coming from Delta Downs, we've seen this trainer do well shipping horses from there, which is unusual.
5-pound apprentice Joey Belmire on Don't You Know It.
Yeah, I just thought there were better horses in here, even though this one does drop down in class.
There's this speedy 5, Proud Mule.
Takes the blinkers off, but I thought this horse is a little bit better than the PPs may suggest, second off a layoff.
Steve Asmussen, son Keith on Tiff with Jimmy.
Coming in from an off-the-turf race at Sam Houston that I think makes her look better than she is. I don't get her at all, and she's 7-2.
Blazingly, and the return from a layoff has done very little running.
Right, but does have the potential to be involved in the pace.
Chip Shortage, Manny Escobar.
I think this is another one dropping a bit that makes some sense for Dan Ware. I think Dan Ware's live with both his runners.
11-1 on Singing Emma.
A horse that could be forward in here, cutting back in distance, but doesn't look good enough off the last couple.
Yeah, Nick Juarez on the favorite outside at 2-1.
I mean, this horse's last race makes the horse a contender. The question is, you got to ask yourself, that horse was cutting back last time out and maybe ran well in the turn back. Has a good chance, but this is a tough field to take 2-1, at least for me.
Going to check in with Richie Migliore here. Excited to get his thoughts on the 2 big races from yesterday. But first things first, we get set for this fourth here coming up. Mig.
Yeah, hey guys, good to hear from you, see you on the screen. And yeah, Andy, I am a bit homesick after my ground support leaves, Maggie and Lafitte, but I am heading home tomorrow, so it'll be okay. The 6 Tiff with Jimmy. It's a Steve Asmussen trainee. From a physical perspective, you've really got to like what you see from Tiff with Jimmy, which is just typical of an Asmussen run. It doesn't mean they're going to be able to run faster than they're capable of running, but it does mean that they're doing well coming into it. I have a little different take. I think even though it was an off-the-turfer, it was much tougher last time. And the horse was coming off a layoff, so now he's got a race under her belt and comes back for a much lower tag. The only problem is she looks like she does her best running when she's involved early, and I do see a lot of speed signed on here. The 8-horse Chip Shortage is one that when she breaks sharp, she usually is involved. Last time I thought she just kind of ran a little bit evenly, but another one taking a bit of a drop in class, and I just think she will be forward, but she doesn't need the lead. And then the 10, Adiva, absolute check mark from the appearance part of it. I agree with Andy as far as a short price in a field like this is always a little bit tough to take. That being said, she's well drawn outside for a horse with natural speed, and I think she gets to sit just off of them because of the post position allows her that luxury. And guys, I will say the track is considerably slower than it was yesterday. It's sealed, labeled muddy, but there's just not much bounce to it. You can hear the horse's hooves really hitting the ground, but even though if a track is sealed tight, doesn't mean there's a lot of life to it. And that's what it feels like today. It's just a little bit more thud than bounce to it. And the times would reflect that. We've had some slower times today, especially compared to yesterday's card, at least up to this point. But I think Adiva could just sit maybe the right trip from the outside. Again, not a great price.
Yeah, 2-1 favorite from that outside slot. Let's bring in Jonathan Kinchin, joining us for the first time on our Sunday action here. JK, your thoughts on the fourth?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think the 10 Diva is probably the horse to beat. But like Mig said, I'm not crazy about the price for this horse. But by no means am I trying to talk anyone off of using this horse in any sorts of plays. I am with the 6 Tiff with Jimmy. I think it's one of the Steve Asmussen advantages that he has with his barn, especially when he's claiming. He's got so many different operations. He can claim one here and claim one there and drop him there and take him to Oaklawn and run him at Remington and run him at Fairgrounds and back to Texas. I think it gives him a lot of options to try to find spots that work. I'm going to forgive the idea that the last race was an off-the-turf situation. The number was okay, was good enough. There's been back numbers that I think that suggest that Tiff with Jimmy could win. But the one thing that I will say is that off a 268-day break last time, you'd like to think there's another step forward here. The pace isn't perfect in here, but at 3-1 on the board, I thought I'd get a little bit of a better price. In fairness, 2-1 on the 10 versus 3-1 on the 6. In that scenario, I would actually prefer the 10. Let's see if the 6 drifts up a little bit. I think they're both live. It's all about value at this point.
All right, JK, thank you. There's a quick look at the favorite. We'll get back to that race in a moment as we return to New York. And the late pick 5 begins with one that's a lot of tickets, I would say, are singling to kick off the sequence here. Spun and Won. Race hurt with a few scratches.
Well, when you and I were going over the card earlier today, we were talking about the pick 6 sequence. Obviously, it's already started, and there's a carryover. And we both felt that a lot of people might, smaller tickets would start out by singling Timaeus, who just wanted even money, and then singling the 4 Spun and Won, especially because you come into 2 races, at least in our opinion, the 6th and 7th, and you and I have gone a little off the reservation with different horses in the 7th, that feel pretty wide open. So for playing the pick 5, playing the pick 6, I think a horse like this is your friend. I think he's a very likely winner. He should get a reasonable pace in this race. With the scratches of 2, not 1, but 2 major contenders, he runs his last race. He's going to win this race in all likelihood.
Here is Paxational, the rail with Lane Leslie.
I'm kind of a fan of this horse and think he has a chance to do okay here. He comes out of a tough spot. The problem is he figures to get a lot of pressure.
Disarmed, second choice right now.
It's another horse that has the speed, but he figures it best to be running along with Paxational.
Spun and Won. He's taking a big drop, 3rd off the layoff.
Comes out of a very tough field, featuring one of the most incredible performances of the entire winter by the winner.
It was Crazy Mason, who's not going to be pointed to the Carter off that
As
performance.
He should be.
Concord Spirit at 9-1.
To be honest with you, I'm surprised this horse is only 9-1. On paper, this horse is completely and totally overmatched.
Yeah, Return the Ring, rider changed Manny Franco.
But claim for 10,000, moving up to 50, that's a tough spot. He is a speed horse with other speeds inside him, so tactically he's well placed. I don't love his chances, but how is he a longer price right now than the 5? Now, you might say the 5 might pick up the pieces if the race falls apart and finish ahead of him, but as far as winning this race, doesn't he feel about 5 times as likely to win as the 5?
Yes.
I mean, literally.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's weird.
30-1 morning line on Concord Spirit. Yeah, there were a couple of major scratches for sure, so these prices were going to come down, but still.
I'm not sure how much his price is going to come down. I'm not looking to pick on him, but he's a horse that basically seems overmatched on paper.
Back to Hot Springs, Arkansas for this 4th race. Favoritism has not moved off the 10. JK intrigued a bit with Tiff with Jimmy as well. The 6 in price has come down quite a bit on the Speedster, who you mentioned, Proud Mule.
Yeah, I think we both like Proud Mule a little bit. I like the fact that it's the New Farm. I love the New Farm Purple Silks. Ben Perkins was the trainer for New Farm going back in the day. So many good horses. I want to say they beat
There they are.
Unbridled Song with a horse, an appealing skier in either the Hutchinson or the Fountain of Youth.
Wow.
Before he started going to the lead again and won the Florida Derby and the Wood Memorial. Unbridled Song is one of those horses, while he's left his mark as a stallion, that a lot of people will never appreciate how talented he was as a racehorse. Remarkable horse with a lot of physical issues.
We'll see how those Purple Silks do. Coming up on one we know is very quick. Blinkers come off in a very sharp bullet 3-furlong drill leading up to this, making you think it is all out. They want the lead here as she steps in, I should say, with Isaac Castillo. Matt Dinnerman with the call. Here's a 4th from Oaklawn.
Here's a diva, Nick Juarez to the outside. Battling for favoritism right now on a wide open betting board, and we're ready to go. And they're off. All 9 runners broke in a single file line. Adiva in the lime green far outside is a share of the lead with Proud Mule blazingly in that group 2. 3 abreast down the backstretch here. Lady of Devon right off of them in the 4th position. Tiff with Jimmy off the speed today, racing with that rival. Singing Emma is deep in the red, white, and blue. Then Chip Shortage, Don't You Know It to the inside. Royal Blush even farther in down on the fence. A tightly bunched up field here. 5 lengths from first to last as they go into the far turn. Proud Mule in the purple jacket head in front of Blazingly, who's right there. Adiva back off of them on the backstretch is third, now sent along to get after that top pair is advancing position. Adiva making up some ground in the 3 pass. Singing Emma, she's losing ground. Lady of Devon staying on the fence. 3 off the lead at the top of the lane. Tiff with Jimmy still in midfield, not picking up the pace. Top of the lane. Adiva poised to pounce. Adiva comes calling for the lead. She grabs it. Adiva kicks for home with a nice kick. Opens up 2.5 lengths with a furlong to go and says, come and catch me. Here comes Lady of Devon, though. She's trying to do just that. It's Adiva, 16 to go. Lady of Devon gaining good ground. Lady of Devon on the outside of Adiva. These two slugging it out. Lady of Devon to prevail by a neck. Adiva second. Don't You Know It was third across the line. Singing Emma holds 4th.
Lady of Devon running down the favorite. She's won 2 of her last 3 now. Christian Torres aboard for the win. Let's go downstairs to Paul LaDuca here back in New York.
Yeah, as we start to lay pick 5 here, Greg, the horses are getting ready to go in the gate. And listen, I'm in agreement with you guys. I thought there was 3 horses that can win this race. The 1, 3, and the 4. I think the 4 is the horse to beat. Spun and One. Actually talked to Rick Dutrow, and he was talking about, listen, we're going to try to lay off the pace. Hopefully that the 1 and 3 do go at it early. I do think the 3 Disarmed is a little bit better for me than the 1 Paxational. I think Paxational might be
Try and get Paul LaDuca's audio worked out. Apologies for that. So, loading up here.
You should apologize, Greg. People don't realize.
I'll take
but
responsibility.
Greg actually pulled the plug on LaDuca.
Spun in One. A moment ago was even money, 6 to 5 now. Deserving favorite in this spot, third off the bench in the drop-in class.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised that he's not shorter. I really thought he'd be extremely short. I'm not saying the 1 and 3 can't win, but I think he's a much more likely winner than 6 to 5.
Pick 5 starts here. Here's Chris Griffin.
And they're off. Disarmed right out towards the front, has early speed, Paxational towards the inside. And there's Spun in One, who's now going to challenge for second. Out wider, Return the Ring is trying to join them. It's going to be 4 wide here, but now in the 4 path as there are 3 across the racetrack early. Disarmed is a neck in front, and here comes the run from Spun in One. Starts to move in closer to the outside there, Return the Ring. The 2 at the back, Paxational with Concord Spirit. Disarmed has the lead through a 23.37 opening quarter mile. Spun in One, ready to challenge, starts to move in closer as they go into the far turn. Disarmed is under a drive, and Spun in One under a snug hold here. Romero Mirage is moving up, is now within a nose of the lead. Also all in, there's Return the Ring, is trying to cut into the margin with Paxational, making a nice move here towards the inside, has taken a clear third, and the Triller, Concord Spirit, to the outside. Spun in One. Disarmed is not going away, though. 47 seconds flat for a half-mile time. Disarmed to the inside. Spun in One with every chance to push on by Concord Spirit. Pink Cap lugging in just a touch, but has a lot of momentum as the front 2 shoulder to shoulder here inside the final furlong. Disarmed is so game. Spun in One trying to push on by still. These 2 bobbing heads up and down. Nice horse race here. Disarmed, Spun in One, Spun in One, Disarmed. Give it to Spun in One to the outside of Disarmed in a tight photo. Concord Spirit finished third in 1 minute 19 seconds flat.
Spun and One. Wow, did he have to work to get this win under Romero Mirage?
Oh, we told you he couldn't lose. I don't understand what you want. I mean, it was in the bag. It's a nice stretch run between these two. I agree with Chris Griffin on that call. Really good effort. And the key, really, for him winning was the fact that Romero got him in the game. When the 1 didn't go, he kind of had to sit outside the 3, or the number 3's Disarm was going to wire the field. But I think the biggest upset in the field is Concord Spirit. I mocked his chances. He lost by about 3/4 of a length at 17 to 1. I said to you, Greg, 17 to 1 looked like a massive underlay. Boy, was I wrong.
Ran a huge race, under Eric Cancel. But it was between these 2. Spun in One, Disarmed, Ruben Silvera down on the inside. For a while, it just looked like Spun and One was never going to get by, didn't it?
No, well, because the one didn't show any speed in there, it kind of gave him the run of the race. And Spun and Run had to be taken out of his game a little bit, and it helped Disarmed, obviously. But Spun and One still got the job done. It what I still think is a bit of an overlay at 6-5. They loved Paxational. I bet the people that took 9-5 on him didn't expect him to be last early.
Yeah, that was shocking. 4-3, 5-1. Spun and One as a 6-5 favorite. Squeaks one out here to start this late pick 5. Rick Dutrow Jr. barn, Romero Mirage. We're going to look back at the Tampa Bay Derby yesterday on the road to that first Saturday in May and that wire-to-wire win. And what's next? Stay with us.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe.
Spandarella could not have been more impressive. She feels more than pretty. She feels fantastic.
It is all she feels pretty. The sun shines bright on this value sire. Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got them. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
And they're off at the Naira Bets Haskell.
In the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
Dornoch setting up moderate pace, 3/4 of a length ahead.
As the field turns for home.
They're at it again. The two Belmont first and second place finishers.
Mind Frame on the outside. It's coming after Dornoch.
Dornoch wins the Haskell.
It will be Dornoch to win the Belmont Stake.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage here on America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Naira Bets, where you can play it all. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime at NairaBets.com. Just took my son to that carousel a couple of months ago.
Well, that's close to where you live.
Yeah.
It's a little bit away from you. Yeah, it's a pretty cool spot.
It is.
Did you ride? Tell the truth.
I did. Absolutely. Did I miss out on that?
I must have been not home when the phone rang and you were inviting me to join you guys.
Spun and One. Had to fight tooth and nail to get this victory to start the late pick 5.
Yeah, this was a heck of a stretch duel between these two horses, and a very good job by Romero putting the 4 in position to win it. He sensed that the pace was moderate, and he felt he was riding the best horse, and he didn't want to get beaten because he was a little bit lax. And I think it really made the difference here, because if he let Disarmed, get a length or so on him, I don't think he ever catches that one.
And in the end, that big effort from off the pace, Eric Cancel trying to sneak up the fence, settles for 3rd. And that's how close it was in the end. Spun and One, able to pick up the 5th win of his career. The 7-year-old, owned in part by Sandy Goldfarb. Steven Speranza, early pick 5. Modest $85 return.
You crushed that, Craig. I hear it's a rumor that you were all over that.
It's on social media.
Hey, there were 4 big favorites. What are you going to do?
7 furlongs next in the 6th. It's a $40,000 claiming race, all for sale for that price. Horses who have not won 2 lifetime. And the entry, mainly because of Scarborough Fair, short price right now. A win to break her maiden on a wet track last start.
Yeah, had a big win last time, kind of ran a race never run before, and if you like Scarborough Fair, maybe you like the other half of the entry, you're kind of hoping the horse can reproduce that form on a dry track.
Well, more on that coming up in just a little bit. Big Saturday. We'll get to the Horse of the Year returning in that win from Torpedo Anna. We're going to start, though, with the Tampa Bay Derby onto the road to that first Saturday in May. And not what we expected in this race, especially early on. From the beginning, Owen Almighty able to get the lead all to himself under Irad Ortiz Jr.
Yeah, and I think it's important to sort of watch the head-on because the 4-horse Brador appeared to be a speed, as did the number 7 on the outside, Patch Adams. But while the winner is on the rail staying there, you see Jose Ortiz, who's riding Brador, and he's drifting out significantly, and he's really affecting Patch Adams and effectively taking him out of the race. And, you know, I understand if Brador and he were the only 2 speeds in there, but it kind of allowed Owen Almighty to walk on the lead and gave him a huge tactical advantage. Now, he was the best horse in this race, but he also did have a big edge both on the racetrack and the way the race played out. Brian Lynch does not want to go to the Derby because Brian Lynch is a very smart guy and a very good trainer, and he knows he can't win the Kentucky Derby. He'd rather go to the Pat Day Mile. Feels like the owners want to go to the Derby. Not going to be the first time Brian was in one of those spots. We'll see what they do going forward. I talked to Chad Brown last night. He was very happy with the second place finish by Chancellor McPatrick. Thought he got a lot out of the race and needed the race. And the way it was run, he knew he couldn't win, and he was happy he was close to the pace. Owen Almighty's a very nice horse, but whether or not he's a 1.25 mile horse, and he's certainly not going to get this kind of easy trip and not be necessarily have it facilitated in the same way. Personally, I don't love what happened in the early running of this race. I think everybody has to ride their horses to the best of their abilities, and I think it's a very fair question to ask. Did Jose Ortiz's ride on Brodeur give him his best chance to win? It's one thing if he didn't want to get into a tactical duel with Owen Almighty and go too fast early. It's another to think he was riding to take another horse out of the race when not necessarily worrying that that was the horse he had to beat. So I have some questions about the way the race was run. It makes me feel, frankly, a bit uncomfortable, but that takes nothing away from Owen Almighty, who's a really nice overachiever for an excellent trainer in Brian Lynch.
And with that, yeah, has the points to go. It's hard to resist if that's been a lifelong dream for you. But yeah, very realistic. Brian Lynch saying probably Pat Day Miles better suited for this horse. He's going to hash it out with the owner, who sounded after the race like he wants to go on to the big one.
Now, I don't connect these to the same thing with Classic Causeway, but Brian didn't want to go to the Derby with him. They ran him the Bluegrass after winning this race. He did not run well, and there ended up being a split. Brian didn't train the horse anymore. He went to the Derby, and Brian was right. He shouldn't have been in the Derby. But listen, in my opinion, you hire a trainer because you believe in them, him or her, and you follow what they tell you. They're the experts. And listen, if they're on the fence and say, if you want to go, I'll go. But if you have a trainer, especially a guy like Brian Lynch, who in my opinion is one of the better trainers in the game, and he says, we shouldn't be in the Derby. Brian Lynch wants to win the Derby just like everybody else. Yeah. But he doesn't want to run a horse that he doesn't think can win. But really, it ends up being an owner's call a lot.
Well, with more on what happened in this race and, you know, Owen Almighty getting away with very slow fractions, let's go to Mig on how this played out early on pace-wise, especially with Brodeur.
Yeah, I disagree with the idea that Jose Ortiz was trying to inhibit or get in the way of Patch Adams. I watched it the first time, and yes, he stayed wide. I don't think that he drifted out considerably. I think he just stayed in the path that he broke in. He stayed in the 4 path. And why would a rider do this, go into the turn, stay a bit wide? Well, a lot of times you'll do that to get a horse to settle. When you angle them in, they usually jump on the bit, they grab you, they take off, and then they get competitive with the horse next to him. So I do think that once he had him into his hands and settled enough, then he angled over. Coming to the backstretch, he's going to duck out. This is the horse, not Jose. Watch Jose's body language coming up. He's going to jump up in the stirrups right there because the horse jumped to his right lead a bit early and ducked out. That was not Jose at all. But the first part of the turn, I just saw a rider trying to keep a horse from getting too keen. So what I did first this morning was I called Mark Casse just to get his take on it. Maybe he felt differently. I wanted to know if there were any instructions or what he had told Jose. And what he had said to Jose was, I'm not sure how far he wants to go, particularly in Top Flight Company, and I think we need to get him to settle. So I saw a rider trying to get a horse to settle and not get too keen, not going after another horse or trying to compromise another horse's trip. Then I called Jose Ortiz to get his take on it. Didn't suggest anything. I wanted to hear what he had to say. And he basically said what I had already thought, and then Mark Casse, the conditioner of the horse, already kind of reinforced to me that they were just trying to get their horse to settle. Now, you may not agree with the tactics, but I really don't think anything nefarious was going on here. And when I talked to Jose, he went even a little bit further and said, you know, if I can get him to settle and he gets a piece of it and he gets a check, then we got some Derby points. And what's the upside for him? He just picked up the Mount Sandman for the same connections. Why would he put himself in a position to maybe lose a potential Derby mount, not on Brodeur, but on Sandman, doing something that was less than what was right for the horse? I think they were just trying to get a horse to settle. And it got me thinking even more about the 1976 Belmont Stakes with Bold Forbes. Angel Cordero broke with Bold Forbes, a horse who did not want a mile and a half, who wanted to get ranked. Angel kept him past the middle of the track. He was as far out as you could, and he could have taken any path. He was clear. Why did he keep him out there? For people that might understand it, because when you angle a horse in, they tend to get rank. You know, in the mornings when you work them, you angle towards the rail, they jump on the bit, and they want to run off with you. Angel is staying very wide on purpose. So I called Angel Cordero, one of the greatest riders in the history of the game, this morning, just to get his take on this ride on Bold Forbes and his take on the ride in the Tampa Bay Derby. And he agreed with me. He said, no, I just saw a guy trying to get a horse to settle. So I don't really think, again, anything nefarious is going on. It was something jockeys do to try to keep a horse from getting too keen. And I just think Jose was on a horse and in a position where he didn't want to be between two horses and getting his horse running off and then have absolutely no chance.
Interesting take on it. And, you know, as a result, whatever happened, Owen Almighty did get to go slow fractions early, was able to take advantage. And that's why Brian Lynch is saying going forward, in his estimation, probably the Derby not the best thought, because there's some very fast horses he won't get to go that slow Derby day.
No, he's not going to win the Kentucky Derby. I don't think he's going to win the Pat Day Mile. I have the greatest respect for Richie's opinion, as you know, and I certainly appreciate his take. I don't agree. I don't like what I saw in that race. But different opinions. It's the racetrack. As far as the Kentucky Derby leaderboard, I didn't make any major changes. One thing I did, I think I moved Barnes up a little bit. The more I thought about it, the more I thought he belonged near the top of the list. And, you know, Chad Brown was so enthusiastic about Chancellor McPatrick, who may come to the Wood next, that I, you know, sort of left him down in that spot. I moved Burnham Square down a little bit, but I left it pretty much the same. I don't think we saw anything yesterday that changed. The one thing you would say is maybe a lot of people don't like Chancellor McPatrick and looked at it and said, even if he needed the races, he good enough to win a mile and a quarter. I could understand that. But other than that, you know, there's nothing about Owen Almighty that makes me think that he even belongs in the Derby field.
And I look at that list, and, you know, one of the names we're waiting to see what he does next. We're going to see him here in New York, and that's Captain Cook.
I can't wait to see Captain Cook run. I'm probably being a bit of a homer having him as high as I have him, and maybe that's the case. But I was impressed by what this horse has done, and given how much respect I have for Rick Dutrow, I think he's a horse that you better keep on your radar. But make no mistake, based on what we saw last weekend, there is a big dog out there now, and it's journalism.
No question. 108 Beyer in the win. We talked about an older horse, maybe arguably the best older horse in the country, locked. Ran a 109 Beyer, same racetrack, just about a half hour after that.
He's an impressive horse. He really is.
Upcoming road to the Derby. We'll talk about it later in the show. Grade 3 Virginia Derby. 50 points to the winner from Colonial Downs, and then the 100-point races begin March 22nd. Louisiana Derby, Jeff Ruby Stakes, Arkansas Derby, and the Wood and Florida Derby.
You're heading down for your second trip to Turfway. You know, it's right next to the airport.
I used to cover that race, yeah. I covered it the year Animal Kingdom won.
Really?
Yeah.
You were all over him the Derby, weren't you?
I was there to witness what he did. Didn't like him at all Derby day.
Neither did I. But then again, I never liked the Derby winner, so why would he be any different?
We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Horacio De Paz from Texas, small town to the big time here in New York and making a major impact. We'll have more on his story next.
The brilliance of the legendary Arrowgate and the speed and stamina of the sire of sires, Uncle Mo. Introducing Petulante, the first son of Arrowgate to stand in New York after winning handily at first asking.
Petulante! He's got a kick here, and he's going to prove much the best.
He won or placed in all 7 of his lifetime starts, including the Grade 3 Salvatore Mile.
Petulante, Nimbus Class, Petulante!
Petulante, now standing in New York. For information, visit IHDVStallions.com today.
Horacio, you grew up in Snyder, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
What is Snyder, Texas like?
Small.
Yeah.
Flat, dry, not a lot of grass, but a lot of country. And it's mostly quarter horses.
Is that where you got the racing bug as well?
I did. I've always been drawn to horses since I was young, just liked horses in general. Drawn to the smell of a horse, too. You know, just little things like that when I got to be around them.
You worked for really great horsemen. What were the things that you took from your experiences with them that you apply now?
A lot of it is honestly like organization.
Yeah.
Communication, how to treat your staff, developing and knowing when can you press on with the horse and when you should back off of a horse.
That's essential. In 2015, Nacho went out on his own,
Yes.
and you assumed his role as the private trainer for Sagamore Farm in Maryland. Did you feel as though you were ready for that?
I'd always given me a goal that, but when I turned 30, that I kind of wanted to step into that role. There's only so much that you can learn being an assistant. And with the schooling that I had, obviously working for Todd, Ignacio, Lucas, Wayne, he likes to give you those one-liners, and he's always going to be the teacher and, you know, school you. And one time we came into work, and I don't know why, I was maybe wearing black jeans or something, and he's like, "What are you doing? You look like you're going to church." I'm like, "I am at church. You preach to me every day." And that was,
You got him.
That was
You got him. Turn the tables on him with that one.
He got that grin on him and stuff, so.
Recruiting Ready is way too good, and he's going to dominate in The Bachelor.
When you were out on your own, the horses running in your name, you had some pretty nice horses for Sagamore Farm, Recruiting Ready, but one I want to ask you about specifically is Ginger and Rye.
Yeah.
She gave you your first win,
Yeah.
but then also gave you your first Saratoga Stakes winner as well.
Yeah, she's very special. She always showed to be a talented horse. The first year we stabled there, we were in Shug's barn, and Clement was across the way too. And here I am with these little Maryland, and Ginger and Rye was a small horse
She
too.
was. Now, was coming to New York always a goal for you, or did it just kind of happen organically?
It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
When I went public, I actually ran into Barry Schwartz, and he was the big push to come to New York. And then we came, and then we ended up winning a stakes with Amundsen.
Yeah.
And then Sharp Star,
Yeah.
she was hitting the board. And then COVID hit. And I was like, oh, this was a good decision. So, we stuck through it. Barry kept sending horses, and, very thankful for him.
You mentioned that it was a goal for you that once you were 30 to have horses in your own name, to be a trainer. What's 40? What's your 40-year goal?
I was hoping I'd just stay 30. It's gone by.
Don't we all?
It's gone by quick. I think at this point, obviously, just trying to grow our business and the clientele. And like I said, when I came here with Barry, we had 4 horses. And this summer, we got up to 45 here at Belmont.
This is not an easy lifestyle. It's 24/7. Why do you get up and do it every morning?
Honestly, you love the process of trying to come up with that nice horse. And they're all projects, and you're all trying to figure out their quirks. I mean, every once in a while, my mom was, "Okay, you still gonna go to college?" And I'm like, "No, I don't think I'm gonna go to college now." So.
It's off the cards, Mom.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of success, learned his lessons well, and that's the horse that he'll be sending out, this filly, Santa Gata, coming up in the next race for Horacio de Paz.
I love Horacio so much, and I'm willing to lose money on Santa Gata a second week in a row. And I honestly feel that Horacio is really one of the good up-and-coming trainers in the game. He's not really up-and-coming. He's sort of here. He's getting his chance, and he wins races. Just a question of getting opportunities at a higher level, but an excellent, excellent trainer.
And with his filly here, what'd you like?
Well, what I initially like is that there's nobody in this race that I can make a strong case for. I mean, I think if you're trying to find somebody you really want to bet in here, I think it's hard. I don't really like the entry. I guess Biera's the horse to beat. Maybe She's Cool, who ran okay last time. With Santa Gata, I thought the race 2 back before she was laid up is a better race than that 56 buyer suggests. Might be more like a 65 to 70, which makes her a player here. I bet her last time. She was a huge price, overmatched, and she was basically ease. She was never in the hunt. But to come back a week later and not drop off a cliff, you got to feel like she's going to run better, and I think she's found the right field. To me, she's an all-or-nothing proposition. She either stinks the place up or she gets it done. I'm going to take my chances, though I was hoping for a little more than 4-1.
Pick 4. starts here. We'll get to the post parade in a moment as we head back to Oaklawn in those muddy conditions in Hot Springs. Race 5. 6 furlong sprint. Condition $20,000 claiming race. Fillies mares 3 and up, who have not won 3 or have not won a race since June 9th of last year. The favorite, Mig, 3-2 on Edith Strudis. Blinkers on, the 9.
Yeah, and, another, full field here, even with the scratch of the 6 horse. But I'm getting the distinct feeling that this racetrack is playing kinder to closers. It's still midway through the day, and maybe I'll be proved wrong, but I think this is one of those cases where you got to kind of adjust your thinking, be a little bit fluid with your handicapping, because the track's distinctly different than it was yesterday. We'll start with the 5 Fashion Rage, who's dropping in class, coming back from Houston. One thing, and Jonathan Kinchin brought this up, Steve Esmerson has horses in a lot of jurisdictions. He can move them around. He's got a chessboard in front of him, and he's trying to make chess moves. And I just think this filly looks great. I think she lands in a good spot, and I think she's going to be lurking in a good position from just off the pace. And again, feeling like I'm not crazy about speed so far today. The 7 Collected Glory, big price here, 10-1, dropped down in class significantly, came with a big late rally when she settled and came with a finish. I like this filly. From a physical perspective, she could not look any better. And at a big price, I'm going to take a little bit of a swing with her. I just think that her style really suits the racetrack today. And then the 9, your favorite, should get a good trip, probably stalking from the outside. I just have a hard time taking short prices in races like this when I think there's several directions you can go. Jonathan, what do you think?
Yeah, it is tough. I understand where you're coming from, but sometimes in those situations you can look at it the other way. When you can't really like anyone else, sometimes the obvious is the shortest price horse, and for me it's the 9. I think that this horse ran extremely well last time, a lifetime best depending on what speed figures you look at. And the other thing that I like about this horse is that there's a reason why that lifetime best could have occurred. Right, the horse was claimed 3 starts ago, and so now when you get into a new barn, a new operation, there's now a built-in reason, an excuse to be what I know Andy and Wolfie like to call like kind of a 1-number horse. Well, he is a 1-number horse, but there's a reason why he's a 1-number horse, and that gives me a little bit more comfort when leaning on just 1 number.
I kind of disagree with Jonathan. What we're talking about with 1-number horses are horses that run 50s and 60s and 70s, let's say, and suddenly run a 93, and they're getting bet off the 93. When they're running the lower numbers, I don't look at it the same way. I think a 1-number horse is one that runs a huge deviation. I'm not against the 9 at even money, but I do agree with Richie's take of races like this. It's tough to take short prices sometimes.
Come back here for Edith Strudis, 4-year-old filly, first start since late December. Short price here, blinkers going on for the first time. And getting easier company as well. There's plenty to like. Matt Dinnerman, the call.
To the outside post, Sweet Mother Mary to round out the field. Here's Sweet Mother Mary. Go again. We're ready to go. And Leroff, Divine Gal with a sluggish break. No problems from Collected Glory. Twirling Tigress quicker than her. Twirling Tigress is a share of the lead. Edith Strudis a neck off hounding. Accelerating Babe right behind them in the 3rd position. Sweet Mother Mary is 4th early, running 4 lengths off the pace. A gap of 3 to Collected Glory. Unbridled Twister right behind her. Divine Gal makes her way a joint 7th with that rival. Fashion Rage drops back to the 2nd last spot, and Chasing Shadows is trailing as they approach the 4-turn run. Twirling Tigress clears off into the turn, leads a length and a tail. Edith Strudis gets a breather, comes back on again, now within a half length of the leader as they round the far turn, making a neck. Edith Strudis comes calling for the lead. Twirling Tigress right there, sent along from the inside. There's a gap of 2 to Accelerating Babe, who's in 3rd while under pressure. Divine Gal splits horses, attempts to run on here, and the pink and yellow coming to the top of the lane. Collected Glory getting underway on the extreme outside as they come down the lane. Edith Strudis pounces on Twirling Tigress. Now she needs to deal with Collected Glory, who's into 2nd. Edith Strudis, though, has plenty for the final furlong, and Edith Strudis is just much the best. Edith Strudis on the class drop going to win, giving Rafael Bejarano a third win today. Collected Glory was second, Photo for the Shoto, Fashion Rage, Accelerating Babe, third and fourth, Chasing Shadows right behind them.
Favorite, Short Price, deservedly so off that performance. Edith Strudis with the victory.
Even money looked like an overlay the way that horse won.
And it was, Rafael Bejarano, rider change there. The big favorite as we get back to New York. Look at the part of the entry who won and broke the maiden on a sloppy, sealed track last time out. Paul, is that a performance you feel she can back up going forward now on a different kind of track?
Well, you make a good point. When you look at this race, Greg, listen, the 5 Santa Gata is the only horse that's actually won over a dry race strip. A lot of these horses have literally won on turf or on a muddy racetrack, so you can go through them all in here. You know, the one Scarborough Fair, you know, I'm kind of with Andy. I'm not a person that likes to bet fillies or colts going into the ranks of winners for the first time after they break their maiden. You got to take a short price. I do think this filly looked well on the racetrack and might seize control. A little interesting that this horse went from Aqueduct to work at Delaware. I wonder if this horse was ever entered at Delaware, but then came over here and won, and then wheels right back. So I do think Scarborough Fair is the better of the entry, but I could see Stress Reliever. But coming off a claim from Brad Cox, that is really tough. Now, the favorite right now is the 2 horse in here who's had only 2 races over a fast racetrack or 2 races over dirt, period, in her career, and they've been pretty good. A 3rd and a 2nd place finish in 6 horse fields, and 7-5 on a horse that's basically 0 for 2, but that's not a bad thing, because then you look at a 4 who's 0 for 9 over fast racetracks. The 1A, 0 for 4. I talked about Santa Gata, 1 for 3. The 6 is 0 for 5. Just nobody really likes to win. So I'll go with the most consistent here, and I'll go with the 4. She's Cool for Wayne Potts. You know, Andy was talking on set with you and I, Greg, yesterday. Wayne Potts is having a sneaky good meet. He just hasn't been able to close the door with a lot of 2nds and 3rds. And I think this horse is ripe for a good race today, and maybe she'll get up and get her 2nd win.
Yeah, that barn horse has been running very strong, just not winning a lot. 16 runner-ups, 18 thirds from 81 starters, just 5 wins so far.
Right, his horses are hitting the board close to 50% of the time. He's just having a lot of trouble getting through the winner's circle, which usually means when you have that kind of differentiation between wins and 2nds and 3rds, you're just getting some bad luck.
9-5 favorite, Biera the 2, Kendrick Carmouche. Rob Atras, as we see Santa Gata move in, the 5, who Andy likes. Pick 4 begins in this race coming up. Now winners at 2, Lifetime, 7/8 of a mile. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
To be loved by you. Goes in, all set. And they're off. Speed to the outside from Dat Dare's Right. Goes right out to the front. Dat Dare's Right is up by a full length. Now a length and a half as they come quickly out of the chute. Trying to get out there was To Be Loved by You. Was drifting out there. Was lunging out towards the center of the racetrack, but now straightens up as a challenging 2nd with in between horses. Stress Reliever is right there with Santa Gata. At the rail is going to be Scarborough Fair as a close-up 5th. Just behind them, that's Bera, who's traveling in tandem with She's Cool. The trailer is Saucy 6. They're chasing Dat Dare's Right, 23 and 3 for that opening quarter mile. Dat Dare's Right takes him into the far turn, less than 4 furlongs to travel. Scarborough Fair moves through at the rail, is taken 2nd. Under a drive now, in between horses, Stress Reliever. 3 wide in that group, To Be Loved by You, and here comes Bera, who's on the move, is now taken 5th and moves in much, much closer, is followed by She's Cool. Then at the rail as well is Saucy 6, making up some late ground, 47 and 1 for a half-mile time. Dat Dare's Right is still there. Dat Dare's Right at the top of the stretch. It's Dat Dare's Right, who's only a neck in front. Bera towards the inside, and Scarborough Fair down the center of the racetrack is making a big run now. And there's Scarborough Fair to push on by. Bera tries to find more. Dat Dare's Right is still hanging in there. Saucy 6 from the back with She's Cool. But Scarborough Fair is opening up here in the late stages inside the final 16th. Give it to Scarborough Fair. Ruben Silvera They get the victory. Barra second, then She's Cool. Then came Stress Reliever, followed by Saucy 6. And 1 minute 27 seconds flat.
She is going to the winner's circle. Scarborough Fair can run apparently on a fast track after that win to Breaker Maiden on a sloppy seal going.
Yeah, it's funny because she kind of looked like she was stalling her move a little bit in the turn, and it felt like the number 2 Biero was coming up inside, might have had the momentum. Well, she really didn't have it, and the one Scarborough Fair kicked in for Jamie Ness to get it done, and get it done fairly easily.
Back-to-back wins, both with Ruben Silvera aboard, 2-1.
I'm going to have to sign the divorce papers with Santagata. I don't feel good about it, but it's going to have to be done. She just cannot run at all anymore.
Slight second choice. It was the 2, went off the favorite. Scarborough Fair the win, owned in part by trainer Jamie Ness. And kicks off this pick 4. Formful beginning. For a moment, looked like things were really going to be shaken up. Heeman Harkey on that there's right, trying to steal this race early.
Yeah, we like Heeman, and Heeman's not afraid to be aggressive, but at the end of the day, just didn't have enough horse.
1, 2, 4, 1A prices when we come back. Not just a Derby prep on Saturday. We had the Horse of the Year back in action for only the 3rd time ever. A reigning Horse of the Year ran at Oaklawn. And yet Torpedo Anna is back with an impressive performance. We'll look back next.
Magnificent was Full Count Felicia, never in doubt.
Coming down to the finish, First World War. Fort Washington on the outside. They're coming down to the line, and Goliad does it.
Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on Naira Bets. Open your Naira Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the Naira Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes on June 7th at Saratoga Racecourse. Don't miss your chance to witness the historical 3rd leg of the Triple Crown. Get your tickets today by visiting belmontstakes.com/tickets.
The only colt ever to win 3 one-mile Grade 1s on dirt. Ran the fastest buyer of the year. That's him, 6 wide, streaking clear.
Here comes Cody's
2 more Grade 1s at 7/8. Here's his Forgo, also running a 112 bite. That's 5 Grade 1s all told. No other son of Sires Curlin has so many. They say, be careful what you wish for. We agree.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Back on our Sunday coverage, America's Day at the Races on FS2. It's brought to you in part by Gainesway Power. Passion, performance. Scarborough Fair back-to-back wins after a maiden victory on a wet track last time out. Handles this fast going in the first test against winners. Jamie Ness, Ruben Silvera team up for the win.
Wasn't the wet track. This horse has clearly turned her career around. She started the turf for Chad Brown. And while she's obviously no superstar, she's going in the right direction for Jamie Ness, who I'm just assuming that Jamie is probably stabled at both Laurel and Delaware. And maybe Delaware's, Paulie mentioned the workout. I'm wondering if Delaware's track just open for training and he likes to train there. I would assume that they probably I don't know if they're open all winter or not, but maybe that's why.
Handles this field pretty easily, as you can see right there. $6.70 for the win. It was Biera who went off the favorite. Can do no better than second. And in terms of your superfecta, 1, 2, 4, 3. We move along, race 7. 6.5 furlong sprint here, lower level, $20,000 maiden claiming race. I'll try to get that first win and all up for sale.
Yeah, and this is a race where both you and I, you were interested in the 4 Spitfire Gal, who opened up at 5-1, though she's a huge price. My horse, My Daughter's Gift, opened up at 7-2, and that horse is twice the price of your horse looking at multi-race bets. So I think we're going to see some changes on the board. I think we went a little off the reservation, but it's a good race to go off the reservation. I'm sorry, that's an offensive comment. I apologize for that. This is a race to just pick somebody weird. I apologize.
Power of your selections. 15-1 opens at 7-2.
Well, how about yours? Same thing, opens up at 5-1. So it just shows people are just as insane to follow you as they are to follow me.
We're going to talk about the big one yesterday. Horse of the Year, back for her 4-year-old campaign, Torpedo Anna. Azeri Stakes, she had the rail to deal with. And major speed, got scratched in this race at the gate. She takes advantage.
Obviously, the scratch at the gate was to her benefit because it took out a horse that could have applied pressure or made her have to change her tactics. Having said that, she did what she needed to do to win. Nobody's going to tell you that this effort is going to win a slew of grade 1s. I am as big a believer in speed figures as anybody. Now, I don't believe that they are the only thing you need to look at. They are one part of handicapping, but they are an extremely important guide to judging performances. Having said that, coming off a layoff on a muddy sealed track with little to no competition in what frankly was a bit of a public workout, she got a 95 buyer, which is good enough for me. She may not win a lot of grade 1s with that kind of performance, but what is she going to do? Win this race by 20 lengths? If she won this race by 15 lengths, people would be asking Brian Hernandez what he was doing and why he needed to air her out like that. Now, we don't know that she'll run fast in the future, but based on her previous record, it's pretty reasonable to expect that she can and will run faster. It was an excellent way to see her get her year off to a start. And when a horse like that comes back, you want to see them run well, and you want to see them in the biggest races. She's a good one.
And yeah, the way she did it, it looks like, as you would expect, there's a lot more in the tank as we go to Mig. What did you take away from that performance in the Azeri?
Well, just along the same vein, guys, I think it was an absolutely perfect comeback race, right? You get the win. Of course, you want to win. All these races are important. But you didn't get to the bottom of her. It was a race to build on, not to tear her down. When she got as comfortable as she did with the late scratch of Wild About Hillary taking any of the real perceived speed out, and her ears were flicking back and forth down the backstretch, you knew she was going to be very tough to beat. And when she shrugged off Free Like a Girl, who is not an easy horse to shrug off, and kind of strolled away and win as easy as she did, makes me feel like she's back, and this is the beginning, a first step, if you will. I was communicating with Ray Bryson, the assistant trainer. He said she drank a quarter of a bucket of water after the race, was cooled out in 15 minutes, spoke with Brian Hernandez earlier in the jockey's room, and he said she was just so relaxed and so happy, and he feels like that maybe not as much physically, but mentally, she just seems to have taken another step in maturity. It's really exciting, guys, for us to cover this and to be fans, to have the returning horse of the year and come back and answer that first question. Does she still want to compete at the age of 4? I think that's clear that she still wants to be a racehorse.
Certainly looked like it with the ease that she accomplished the task, and now April 12th. Circle that date. That is the Grade 1 Apple Blossom.
Yeah, and, we're looking to see her Apple Blossom. I would imagine her next start would probably be the Ogden Phipps on Belmont Stakes weekend. I doubt Kenny wants to rush right back in the La Troyenne. And if she wins all 3 of those races and she's running big races, I could see Kenny, he's not a man who's afraid to take a chance, as we well know with her and others. You could see her lining up in the Whitney, and the idea of seeing her locked, Sierra Leone, one of, if not both, mind frame and fierceness in a race like that at Saratoga, it starts to get you pretty excited. And we're, about 5 months away from that happening. It's nice to have these horses out there, especially after last year. And I forgot to even mention White Abarrio, who did run very, very well down in the Pegasus. After last year, where it was a desert, it was as disappointing an older horse division as I can remember in my lifetime. It was almost a battle of attrition to who would get the award. This year has the potential to be extremely exciting.
That could, and it was a moment that kind of stands alone in time, that Travers, this could outdo that. Can we convince Connections of Forever Young to come too? Because that would really just put the whole thing together.
Do you have their number? The Mig probably has it. He's got everyone's number. It's weird how their racing calendar works. Obviously you'd love to see him, but I'll take that lineup. And Sierra Leone getting back, ready to run. I was talking to Chad Brown about it. There's options like the New Orleans Handicap, who I believe he's nominated to, but also the race at Oaklawn, the Oaklawn Handicap. Probably going to see him in one of those races. Be nice to see him back. Mindframe. Yeah, he's going to have to faster, but he had a nice return race given he's been off for a long time. We know how talented he can be. We've seen that Locked is already. He's the one that's really delivered kind of the punch. And obviously White Abarrio as well will beat him, but I don't think we saw the real Locked in the Pegasus. I think the Locked we saw can compete very, very well with White Abarrio. And, we'll see with Fierceness. Obviously, you want to see him get back to – I think he had some gallops. I thought he was back at the racetrack. I think I heard that.
Okay.
But hopefully he's back and he's working and he runs soon. I mean, the idea of having a Travers rematch plus, a Locked and maybe a White Abarrio.
Incredible.
I mean, it may not happen, but we can dream now, can't we?
It sounds like, a loaded older horse division this year. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens going forward. Take a look at the upcoming Oaklawn Stakes schedule. Whitmore, March 15th. Will we see Banishing going back to sprints? Maybe competing in that. Tried going longer, 2 turns.
He didn't even run that badly in that race, but you'd imagine he would cut him back, but we'll see what happens.
Arkansas Derby, final major prep in Hot Springs on the road to that first Saturday in May at the end of the month, March 29th. And this man right there has got a big decision to make on that race. Lonnie Briley with Coal Battle. Does he go to that race or does he sit out and wait for the Kentucky Derby? Stay with us.
There's a big, bold, beautiful world waiting to be explored by you and your friends, of course. But not just any friends, the best of friends. The kind of friends who let you do you. Because in this world, it's positive vibes only. And when you get in the zone here, you stay a while. These aren't just good times, they're the best of times. And your time is now. So come explore. Resorts World.
Back on our Sunday coverage, look at Hot Springs, Arkansas and Oaklawn Park. So we're about 8 minutes away from race 6 coming up. Mile and a 16th, $35,000 claiming race. Non-winners of 2 lifetime. We were talking about the Queen, the horse of the year, Torpedo Anna, and her successful return to the races. And April 12th, that Apple Blossom coming up. But more immediately, as you take a look at the current odds, there they are. Lonnie Briley with a big decision to make. He'll have the 10 amazing mark in this race coming up. What does he do with his undefeated Derby contender on dirt, Cole Battle? Does he move on to the Arkansas Derby? Does he sit out and wait until that first Saturday in May? Some decisions to make, Mig.
Yeah, and that's the million-dollar question because Lonnie Briley has stated clearly the horse is going to have to tell him that he wants to run there, and he's a guy that listens to his horses. We talk about it often, you know, that phrase, a horse whisperer is bandied about. There are no such thing as horse whisperers, there are horse listeners, and he is a guy that is acutely in tune with Cole Battle, his needs, how he's doing things. The horse is doing terrific. He could not look better in the flesh. He came out of the race in good order. He's training with enthusiasm. My gut feeling is that we'll see him in the Arkansas Derby, but I wouldn't want to play poker with Lonnie Briley because he doesn't give you the information that you're looking for. He is sticking to his guns about his horse, telling him if he should go in the Arkansas Derby or train up to it. I will say he's not the biggest individual, but an extremely well-balanced individual, and seems like he takes his racing well. I hope we see him in the Arkansas Derby, but if not, we'll look forward to him in Louisville.
Just a neat horse. One of the great stories on the road to this year's Triple Crown, if not the greatest. A name we had not heard of, and a horse now who's undefeated on dirt. He's won at different racetracks, and he's won it with different styles, too.
No, I agree. I mean, he kind of sold me after the last race. I didn't give him any chance in the Rebel, and he really ran extremely well. He made up some ground. He got a good trip, but he made up ground. It's not like anybody else was making up ground. And, you know, every year on the Derby Trail, there are the quote good stories. Sometimes you push it a little bit. You know, you're looking for that story. I don't think you have to look for it with this one. This is a very cool story, and this is a good horse. Whether or not he's good enough to win the Derby, who knows? But he's a neat horse and a neat story.
Yeah, he's earned his way there, so we'll wait and see if indeed he lines up March 29th in that Arkansas Derby, or if they sit and wait. Back to New York. Race 7, 6.5 furlongs. This $20,000 maiden claiming race. Allen Hurst, Gregory Sacco barn. Manny Franco will ride, putting blinkers on after 4 seconds in 8 trips. Does this put this one over the hump today?
Maybe. I mean, it is a pretty big rider change to Manny Franco. And the cutback. Now, the cutback in distance, for a horse that doesn't have much speed going long, I think one of the concerns with this horse is a lack of speed. And I do feel like it's a little trickier to take horses that might be coming from out of the back. On the other hand, Manny Franco's an aggressive rider. Manny looked at this horse, and he knows he's going to have to do a little work to get the horse into position. So I doubt he falls back. And I don't think there's a rider in the country that's been hotter than Manny over the last couple of weeks. He's been on a tear.
7-5 favoritism?
Nobody should be 7-5 in this race. I mean, come on. And this horse, you say 0 for 8. I picked the horse second. I won't be surprised. You won't be surprised. Same with Malancia. Certainly can win this race. But I don't think you want to rely on one of these horses at a short price, which is why both you and I went hunting for some strangers. Yours was Spitfire Gal. I thought you made some good cases for her. Second time out, drops precipitously. And My Daughter's Gift, I'm going to take, just throw the last race out, running way over his head. And I thought the first race was a race that could actually make her contentious, And I think Romero Mirage is a big rider upgrade. Romero's my man.
Now let's get to JK, his thoughts on this maiden 20 sprint.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go with the 2 Malancia. Pretty simple reason. If you look at Malancia's pace figures, and I like to look at Timeform US is my preferred pace figure, but if you look at the races for Malancia at 6.5 or 7 furlongs, it feels like all of those races, she just hasn't been able to see her race out. And I'm just hoping that with the pace projecting to be a little bit slower in this spot than maybe it has been in some of her earlier races, if she can just kind of reserve just a little bit more energy early, I think she could be tough to beat in here. Her numbers are hovering around where they need to be, and obviously a horse like the 5 taking the money that they're taking with no pace, I much prefer a horse that's going to be, is going to have already been where they're trying to go. Give me the 2 Malancia, but if the pace is too fast, she's going to be in trouble. She's got to find a way to save a little gas.
The horse that could bother her in the front end is the horse that you like, Greg. The number 4, Spitfire Gal. I don't see how she's not forward in this race.
She showed speed against a lot better company. Bumped a little bit coming out of the gate. It was her fault, but broke inward a bit and bumped a rival. So we'll see if that one puts the heat on. I would think she would. We'll see as you take a look at the two.
When you get sort of wacky horses home, it's a lot easier to do sometimes in the winter because the competition isn't as tough, and there's a little bit more randomness, weather affecting training, et cetera, lower level horses not as reliable. When goofy horses win, these are the kind of races that they win. They're not winning stakes. They're not winning competitive allowance races for the most part. They're winning races like this. And you and I saw it, while we saw different horses, we saw it similarly in that we wanted to take a horse that just might be potential. And we're probably betting horses that can't win or aren't going to win. But you get paid in these races. You don't have to be right that often. And I don't disagree with Jonathan. I think Melancia, along with Alan Hurst, are the two horses to beat, and I agree with him that her speed gives her an advantage. But these horses are the same price in multis, and I don't think either one of these horses is going to be anything above 2-1. And for me, if I'm going to bet a race like this, either I'm going to think a horse can't lose, or I'm not betting a super short price.
And top two choices on the board, Paulie. The 2, the 5, they're 0 for 13 combined.
Yeah, it's really tough to get to both of these horses, but then we've had a couple of these races in the last couple of days. We've had a 48-1 shot. We've had a 26-1 shot. So these kind of races where you're seeing horses that are favoritism in the 40 buyer land, a lot of stuff can happen, overnight, especially with 3-year-old fillies. We talk about this a lot, Greg, how these horses can change overnight. So you guys went with your kind of crazy little horses. I do think the 2's the horse to beat, just on speed figures and on the pace. I'm kind of with Jonathan on that. I thought the 5 looks tremendous here in the paddock. My crazy horse would be the 1. Now, I think they put an extension blinker, and this horse was under 2-1 last time out over a muddy racetrack. And I think the horse looks well. A nice little gray here by Gift Box. And if I'm going to look outside the box, no pun intended, it would be the 1 R Special in here for Ruben Silveira, who's riding well. So, I mean, if I'm making a wager in here, I'd probably bet the 2, and I'd bet the 1 a little bit across the board. If the 5 beats me, the 5 beats me, although the 5 does look well in the paddock, Greg.
Rider change on that one. There's that extension blinker you can see. Heeman Harkey on our special and did show speed last time out.
Then that for his other horse potentially could be a thorn in the side of the 2 because we know Heeman likes to go.
Back to Hot Springs. Post time coming up on this muddy track for non-winners at 2 Life, mile and a 16th. Let's go to Mig.
Yeah, guys, a real nice group of $35,000 claimers lining up here. We'll start with the 2, Touch of Glam, running the first time for a claiming price. A horse that has a little trouble getting out of the gate, not the handiest breaker, and he kind of puts himself at a bit of a disadvantage because he tends to get shuffled back. But the fact that this horse returns at a lower level and made a really nice physical impression. This is an Argentine bred here for Kenny McPeek, and Brian Hernandez sticking around to ride some of Kenny McPeek's runners here at Oaklawn today after the return of the big filly. The 3, Rivetage, this horse checks all the boxes for me, making the first start off the Asmussen claim, moving up to the $35,000 level from 25. Think the horse has got the right style, should get a good stalking trip, and from a physical perspective, absolutely gets the check mark. So really kind of the puzzle pieces fit for me here with the 3, Rivetage. The 4, Michelov, a Chilean bred. I'm feeling a South American kind of theme here. Another one coming in here for Peter Miller. Had that 1 start at Oaklawn after running in Southern California until November. And I think that's just a race to build on. It was a tougher spot, and from a fitness standpoint, really should be where he needs to be and getting in a more realistic spot, if you will. And then the 6, Shattuck. This is a deep closer on a day where I just feel like you want to be coming from off the pace. And you get Christian Torres, who's your leading rider. And this horse will be coming from far back. But, again, I think the track will pay kind to this horse's style.
See how it plays out. This is a wide open betting race. 7-2 is your favorite. That's the 8, Demotivate for Peter Miller.
Well, I think one of the reasons that this race is not likely to be dominated by forward horses is that the 1, 5, and 7, according to the pace projector at Timeform US, are clearly the 3 fastest horses, and they're 23-1, 30-1, and 18-1. So they're not likely winners. So this race does have the potential, despite a relative lack of pace, to come apart a little bit. I like the 4, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, for Peter Miller on the drop down to a more realistic spot after being in a tougher spot last time.
Blinkers going on that 4-9 to 2.
1 for 27. You know me, I love a 1 for 27 horse. I mean,
overdue angle.
Yeah, right.
Matt Dinnerman with the call. Here's the 6th, the start of the pick 5 from Oaklawn.
Mark rounds out the field. We're ready to go. And Leroff going right to the lead. Indy Charge takes advantage of a good getaway and strides in front while getting to the rail. Stuck in Snow had to steady in the first 16th of a mile when it tight on the fence. He's keen to Stuck in Snow behind the pace as they go into the first turn. Indy Charge is clear on the lead by a length. D-Day Reunion right behind him in second. Michalov gets a good trip, saving ground on the first turn while stalking and racing alone. He's 3 ahead of Rivetage. Demotivate to his outside. Stuck in Snow out of harm's way on the outside in the 3 path. Draws level with the aforementioned pair. Then Mazing Mark in midfield with Touch of Glam. Miller's Right second to last, and Shattuck, per usual, takes a spot at the back of the field. He will attempt to do his best running later. A dozen lengths from first to last as they head down the barn side. Indy Charge, Ramon Vasquez carving out the fractions, a length and a tail ahead. D-Day Reunion on the outside. He's running in second. Michalov still third. Demotivate fourth, now 3.5 lengths behind, approaching the far turn run. Stuck in Snow is following his move. Touch of Glam to the inside has lost a couple spots. Mazing Mark joins him in the run around the far turn. Rivetage is plummeted back. Looks like he needs to absolutely turn it around to win it. Miller's Right second to last. Shattuck has yet to pass a runner, needs to get going as they come to the top of the lane. Indy Charge just a neck in front. D-Day Reunion right up alongside. Demotivate being motivated to get going here, and one of them went down. That's the 9 horse, Miller's Right, who fell there as they come down the stretch. In the meantime, at the quarter pole, the leader here looks like that's D-Day Reunion, who's taken over. Demotivate's trying to get up there, and he's going to get a short lead with a 16th to go. Demotivate coming to the finish. He's got it. Demotivate to win it under Nick Juarez. D-Day Reunion was second. Mazing Mark third. Indy Charge fourth.
Trying to get an update on Joey Bellemare, Miller's Right. Demotivate with the victory as the 7-2 favorite.
I'll tell you what I've seen. I'm curious what Richie thinks, and we'll talk to him going forward. I don't think you want to be inside on today's track.
Demotivate. Third back off a short rest with the victory as we get back to New York. And the 7th race with 4-5 favorite now. Wow. Malancia, Kendra Carmouche, Rob Atras.
Yeah, she is an overwhelming favorite in the pick 3. And I'd said to you off camera, she's going to be a big favorite in this race. I don't think that, I can't speak for Jonathan, but I find it hard to believe that you would want to bet this horse at 4-5. She may win, but I'll put it this way. Who is a better bet, her at 4-5 or Spun in 1 at 6-5? And I know Spun in 1 won, or even Linda's horse that won the race before that. I'm never taking 4-5 on horses in these kind of races. I shouldn't say never, but
cheap races have never won.
How do you rely on these horses from one week to the next? You know, that's my problem. One of the reasons you and I are drawn to look for sort of goofy horses in races like this is because we know the reliability factor is lower. And for that reason, it makes the favorites even more vulnerable because unreliability is like it's a head cold. It's not something that's going to be like, oh, the favorites are not unreliable. No, everybody can be unreliable in these races, and she may win. But, boy, I can think of better even money shots to find.
Yeah, especially when you're constructing tickets, talking about pick 5s, pick 6s too, horses you want to lean on. Do you want to lean on, maiden 20 races where
right.
A lot of it can veer on how they're feeling that day, and a lot of times they're not feeling great.
When I end up picking a favorite or short price in a race like this, it's because I just can't find anything. And I think you feel similarly. And listen, we may be making bad picks in this race. I don't think either one of us is surprised when our horses are in the back of the pack. But over time, these are the kind of horses you can do okay with. You can find something. And I think both of us have made a good enough case for our horses that they're not that ridiculous in this spot.
But we'll see if the money's right. Malancia, short price with Kendra Carmouche for Rob Atras. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
My daughter's gift to the outside. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Speed from in between horses. There is Spitfire Gal right to the front and has company to the inside. From Melancia, who's right there with the early mix, but the runaway leader early is Spitfire Gal, is up by a quick 2. Alone in second, Melancia, then comes Just Words, and moving up to the outside of them comes My Daughter's Gift, has taken now a third position, is dropping back. Just Words is back to 4th. Moving towards the inside of that rival, Allenhurst. Second to last is going to be our special, the trailer, Katarina Ristova. 22.31. Alone up front at Spitfire Gal. Went very fast up front, and Spitfire Gal takes him into the far turn. Melancia is in full pursuit, and here comes a run from Allenhurst. And Manny Franco, they're on the move. They've taken third as the leader starts to tire, and here comes to the outside Melancia. But at the rail, it was open there for Manny Franco, and Allenhurst just burst on through. And Allenhurst is to the inside of Melancia, who's in hand, and these two reach the top of the stretch together. It's these top two, and it's between these two now. To the inside, Allenhurst with the ground-saving journey. Melancia tries to come right back to the outside, and these two are now within a neck of each other, but Allenhurst is finding a touch more inside the final furlong. Allenhurst is trying to get away, trying to keep up as Melancia. It is far back to third, but it's all Allenhurst. Allenhurst, geared down, wins this one. Allenhurst wins it over Melancia, then comes Just Words and Our Special. In 1 minute 20 seconds flat.
Allenhurst outdueling the 4-5 favorite for the win as the second choice here at 2-1.
And what did we say before the race? While she lacks speed, Manny Franco is going to do what he can to get her in a more competitive spot, and that's exactly what Manny did. You got a little thrill out of your horse, who ran up to a big lead before she did what, no surprise she did, abdicating. But I don't understand the significant difference between the odds on these two horses. The 5 and 2. They just seemed like a bit of a coin flip as the two horses to beat. Yet the 2 was 4-5 and the 5 was 2-1. Probably because the 2 possessed more speed. But when your horse jumped out to that big lead in a fast pace, it took away any advantage that Melancia could have.
Yep. Real quick, too, inquiry ejection involving your second and fourth place finishers at Oaklawn. Finished 8, 5, 10, 7. Just keep you updated. So we'll get to that in a moment.
I haven't seen any video, so.
Second-itis, thing of the past here for Allenhurst. 4 runner-ups and 8 starts. Finally breaks through. Gets that first career win for maiden 20 here. Gregory Sacco Barn, Manny Franco.
I'm
and
here.
Sacco with more work to do coming up, but just beat the odds off a long layoff in the next race.
I hear he's very live in the board. A friend of mine texted me and said that horse is taking a lot of money in the doubles.
Okay.
Barn has been doing very well here with his son as the trainer.
5-2, 3-1 in the 7th. We're going to take a timeout in the Gander. Soon to be king with the upset score. We'll take a look back to that performance from Saturday's card when we come back.
And here's Tama in the final stages. The Santa Anita Derby goes to Tama. It's Tama, absolutely terrific, winning Malibu by 4 widening lengths.
Adelphi Racing Club offers the unparalleled excitement of owning thoroughbred racehorses at a fraction of the cost. We're not just a syndicate, and our members aren't just investors. We are partners. Our New York-based high-performing equine athletes, trainers, and jockeys compete and win at the highest level circuits. Contact us online to get a taste of the Adelphi difference, and let's win races together.
Elite Power gets up to win the sprint. To the inside, here comes CC Rocket up the rail. Jackie's Warrior, Elite Power on the far outside, and Elite Power gets up to win the sprint. CC Rocket was second. Jackie's Warrior settles for third today.
The power of Juddmonte.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage. Watching America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 2. We just saw Alan Hurst. A couple of wins today for that man right there. Manny Franco with the win over the 4-5 favorite.
And I think it's easy to say, well, it was a cheaper race and Manny was riding the second choice. But I think the real difference here was the fact that Manny was aware that this horse lacked speed, and he made sure she was in a position where if she was good enough to win, she wasn't going to have to overcome some big obstacle. And in doing that, he put her in a position to win. And I think that's the difference between the way Manny's riding, and I'm not saying other riders wouldn't have done it, but Manny seemed to realize, I can't get caught back in 8th. I got to get my horse in the game, because he really wasn't that far off Malancia, who had a lot more speed on paper.
Gregory Sacco, owned by Carl Coppola. 4 seconds, 8 starts, but finally that first win today. $6.10 for the win. 5-2-3 finish in the feature coming up next. Race we talked about way back at the beginning of the show. 4 of the main players in this race, all coming off long layoffs here.
And the public is making the number 5 just beat the odds. As we mentioned, Greg Sacco's barn looking for back-to-back winners, a heavy favorite. He has decent numbers off a layoff. The horse is a new gelding, and there's nothing wrong with the race this horse has run. This horse has faced some good horses and has run good races, but it is a layoff horse. Maybe they know this one's doing well. Some of the others aren't, but you and I are going down with 24 Mamba, and not because Greg's a Kobe Bryant fan. I assume that was his number?
It was, yes. 3-1 right now from a 10-1 morning line.
Well, we also talked about that and suggested that this horse probably wouldn't be as big a price as the longest shot on the board in the line. And there was a scratch of the entry, which changed the odds too.
His second number, by the way. Started out with 8. Then moved to 24.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, right. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I saw Michael Jordan with the 55.
Did you?
Was that what he wore? No, what did he wear? 35?
I think it was 45 something.
45, yeah.
Was
I
it?
saw him in that game in the Garden, the comeback game. He scored 55.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a great game.
We're going to look back. Not quite a Jordan-like performance, but it was a good win. In the Gander, who you liked, right? Soon to be king?
I did, and I won a photo, so that was good. Give Eric Cancel a lot of credit in getting this horse to get it done. I mean, I don't think that either the second and third place horses deserve to lose. They both ran very well. Moplex coming off the layoff ran well. Big dogfight between those two. National Identity obviously not running back the Big Fig last time. But, I mean, this was a relentless run by the winner, soon to be king. Just kept coming and coming and coming. And there were a lot of moments like here where it looked like he stalled, but then he kept coming and he rallied. And I don't think he ever was in front except for basically right at the wire.
Tough beat with these two battling up front, who, both these two up front, who don't get the win. They got some real talent.
No, listen, as there always are, there are a lot of good New York breds out there, and there are some of them. But I like this horse. I mean, this horse has just been a consistent horse, right? He's really run well in almost all of his races. A lot of times not quite good enough because the horses at the top of the New York breds, the 3-year-olds now, they're pretty good. And he's a nice horse, but he had his day here. Nice to see.
Sacrosanct, Sand Devil. Now this horse, some very good New York breds right now. Paul, what'd you think about this performance?
I thought it was a really good performance, to be honest with you. I thought all 3 horses ran really well, especially Moplex, too, coming off a long layoff, was able to kind of sting your favorite. And then Soon to be King just, I think, surprised everybody coming up the rail. But it was a relentless run, like Andy said. And by the time they got to the quarter pole, I mean, he was like 5 or 6 lengths in front of these 2 horses who were just tired of fighting each other down the lane. It was a good old-fashioned horse race. And the 5 got the better of Moplex, probably because Moplex needed that race, so I would think it would be better for him. I think National Identity will be a horse that is a very nice horse and will always be kind of those hard-knocking type of horses. But Soon to be King's a dangerous type of horse because the bigger the fields get in some of these maybe stakes races, if they try to go there, It's going to be better for a horse like him that gets paced because he does have the relentless late run. And, you know, Eric Cancel, you got to give him credit. He never stopped pursuing those top two.
Here's what we have ahead. Wood Memorial Day right around the corner.
Yeah, I got big news. Leon Seidler texted me. T. Craft is going to the Jimmy Wakefield.
Is he?
Yeah, those overnights should be coming out soon.
To that.
I just look forward to Lee coming down and visiting us, and that Wood Day card is going to be sensational. And with the real possibility that we see Chancellor McPatrick coming up here. He had run so well when he won the Champagne, and I think Chad is interested in bringing him here.
We talked about this sensation from who last couple of races he's not even been visible on the screen. Crazy Mason. He's going to line up in the Carter off that hot form.
He is. He's the kind of horse, if you're following racing here in the winter and you're watching the show or you're following in general, you're kind of looking forward to seeing him run because his move from far behind is, in fact, crazy.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll have more in this eighth when we come back. 19 minutes to post in our Sunday feature on this card here at Aqueduct. And that man right there, yes, he is indeed running away with the New York winner. 2 wins today already. Big chance to collect another one coming up. And the layoff horse for Gregory Sacco just beat the odds.
Newgate sold for $850,000 as a yearling. His full sister, Denim and Pearls, sold for $2.8 million. His 108 Buyer was the fastest of any into mischief in 2024. He posted a 122 Equibase speed figure and ran a -2 1/4 on the Thoroughgraph sheets. In all, he defeated 8 individual Grade 1 winners. New to Three Chimneys.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Game Winner first ran a very, very impressive maiden race at Del Mar. Came back in the Del Mar Futurity.
Gaming, a first crop colt, following in his sire's footsteps, winning the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity.
And then just continued that unbelievable 2-year-old year, went on to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then was crowned 2-year-old champion. A very exciting combination of pedigree and race record.
Game Winner, continuing the legacy of Candy Ride.
Get into the game with Bond Racing Stable. When you partner with Bond Racing Stable, the Bond team does all the work and you enjoy the experience. As a partner, you can watch morning workouts, come to the paddock for saddling, and cheer your horse down the stretch. Bond Racing Stable offers more than 30 New York-bred weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds in a partnership program that gets you to the winner's circle. Whether on your own or with friends and family, make Bond Racing Stable your racing partners. Go to jamesbondracing.com today.
Jockey Manny Franco has been no stranger to the winner's circle in his career. Even with over 2,000 wins, including multiple Grade 1s, he continues to stay motivated to be the very best in the game.
I'm hungry. I want to win races. That's what I'm here for.
Family has always been a driving force for Franco. From his first trip to the track, to jockey school, and coming to the United States, Manny's bond with his father has been a key component to his success.
I was about 14 years old. My dad took me to the track every Sunday in Puerto Rico. Saw those animals running, and I just fall in love with the sport.
Throughout his career, Franco has found support from fellow Puerto Rican riders Arad and Jose Ortiz, as well as Hall of Famer John Velasquez.
Coming from Puerto Rico, coming from the same school, you have to be very proud, you know. And although we compete with one another, but you have to be proud to what they've done and to have the talent. There's no doubt that Manny has the talent to be a top rider in the whole country.
It is going to be a photo finish, and I think it was Discreet Lover. Schering takes the lead. Late move from Dye. Back to third is Sweet Melania. Schering and Manny Franco have won.
And he's gonna do it, Manny Franco, in the Grade 1 Joe Hurst Turf Classic. But it is Tiz the Law, and the New York bred is gonna win New York's Belmont Stakes, the first leg of the 2020 Triple Crown. Here he is, Saratoga's hometown hero, Tiz the Law.
With all his accolades, Manny is still missing that one win all jockeys want the most.
Man, I want to win the Kentucky Derby so bad, man. That's the dream for any jockey, the Kentucky Derby.
Well, it's rare you even have an opportunity with the right kind of horse. He had the right kind of horse who kicked off the Triple Crown that year, but it was not the Kentucky Derby. It was the Belmont Stakes in that strange COVID year that began the Triple Crown that Manny won.
Well, he rode Tiz the Law, a big win in the Travers as well. Obviously disappointing, but lost to a very, very good horse in the Kentucky Derby and Authentic. And so Tiz the Law was good, and Manny did nothing but ride him well.
Yeah, he is rolling right now, as you can see atop those jockey standings for this winter meet. 57 wins, 14 clear of the next closest pursuer, Jose Lezcano. And a chance for Manny to pick up his third today on the 9-5 favorite here. Just beat the odds, the 5.
Yeah, and I mean, the money suggests that this horse is doing well off the layoff, which makes you less worried about the layoff. And I'm just not sure that he's a great bet at a short price in this race, even if you think he's doing well off the layoff. Now, maybe he's training exceptionally well, and that's why he's getting bet like that, and he certainly can win. It is a race that doesn't have much speed, especially with the scratches in here, and he, along with the 2 and 3, can be forward, and perhaps Manny will try to wire the field. Wouldn't be the worst idea.
There's Manny's mount coming up. Just beat the odds off since April. Get to the post parade when we return, 13 minutes away from our feature on this Sunday card at Aqueduct. 24 Mamba, meanwhile, Michelle Giangiulio, Kendrick Carmouche, looking for his 7th career win coming up. Stay with us.
Newgate sold for $850,000 as a yearling. His full sister, Denim and Pearls, sold for $2.8 million. His 108 Buyer was the fastest of any into mischief in 2024. He posted a 122 Equibase speed figure and ran a -2 1/4 on the Thoroughbred sheets. In all, he defeated 8 individual Grade 1 winners. New to Three Chimneys.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Game Winner first ran a very, very impressive maiden race at Del Mar. Came back in the Del Mar Futurity.
Gaming, a first crop colt, following in his sire's footsteps, winning the Grade 1 Del Mar Futurity.
And then just continued that unbelievable 2-year-old year, went on to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then was crowned 2-year-old champion. A very exciting combination of pedigree and race record.
Game Winner, continuing the legacy of Candy Ride.
Get into the game with Bond Racing Stable. When you partner with Bond Racing Stable, the Bond team does all the work and you enjoy the experience. As a partner, you can watch morning workouts, come to the paddock for saddling, and cheer your horse down the stretch. Bond Racing Stable offers more than 30 New York-bred weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds in a partnership program that gets you to the winner's circle. Whether on your own or with friends and family, make Bond Racing Stable your racing partners. Go to jamesbondracing.com today.
Back in our Sunday coverage, there's the favorite. Again, the one Manny Franco will ride. just beat the odds for trainer Gregory Sacco. New gelding coming back off a lengthy layoff dating back to April 14th of last year. Let's take a look at that race. It was a dominant win.
Listen, he's a nice horse. He's a consistent horse, but I don't know that he has a great edge on these horses, even if we think he comes back and runs his race. He was 2-5 in this race. He's been a very short price. This is the toughest field he's probably been in. There must be a story that he's doing really well. I wouldn't take that price, but then again, I'm not going to take the price that the horse you and I like. I wouldn't bet the 324 Mamba at 5-2. I would bet him at 4-1 to 9-2, but not 5-2.
Well, the 4, 5, 6, and I think the big aberration on the board is the 7, who's way too big a price, isn't
he? They're betting him like he just can't possibly win the race, and to me, he's one of the horses to beat, frankly. So, yeah, I actually picked him second here. At that price, maybe he just can't run anymore, but I'm going to bet him at 14-1.
JK, your thoughts here on the feature?
Well, Andy spoke him into existence with Lee Einsiedler. The 4 High Oak. He's had a career that has had some ups, had some downs, but when he shows up and runs, man, he runs, and he comes in here off of a short break, right? Hadn't run since the beginning of the year, and not till since January. I'm sorry, he comes in off a long break, and I look, he's run okay before off of layoffs, so I'm just hopeful that in this situation he'll do the same thing. And one of the things, too, is when you're looking at races at 6.5, I've always been a person who believes that it's not drastic by any means, but it does, in my opinion, the way those races are run, do kind of benefit horses that can finish. And I do believe that High Oak is one of those types that can finish. And so if they can get a little bit of pace to run in front of him, I think High Oak could come rolling here. And Andy, I'm sure Lee will text you after that happens.
No, he won't, because he's not going to win.
Here's January 6, 2024. It's the last time we saw High Oak, and wound up second behind a pretty good one, Joey Freshwater.
Joey Freshwater was in great form before he kind of disappeared. And listen, anytime a friend of mine runs a horse, I hope they do well, and Lee's a good friend. I wouldn't touch this horse with a 10-foot pole. He has not won a race in going on 4 years. Now, he's also had extended layoffs, but this is his second extended layoff. Now, Mott's numbers off of long layoffs aren't bad, but they're bad at NYRA. He's not good at NYRA. He's better out of town when he brings horses back off of layoffs of over a year. I don't think there's much speed in this race. He's not a horse he doesn't have the lack of speed like Reasoned Analysis, but he doesn't have a lot of speed, and I just don't know how you can rely on this horse. Now, listen, he's 9-2 now, and if you're getting 5-1 on him and you think, he runs his good race, he can win, I got no problem with that. He's not on my tickets, though. You mentioned this to me, I think, off camera, Greg. I know you said the price on the 7 is utterly insane.
I don't understand.
Now, maybe they know that the horse can't run, but I think at that price, you kind of have to bet this horse. This is a horse that has some of the best figures of anybody.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought in some ways this was
I picked him
the
second.
horse to beat.
I picked him second, so I'm not, obviously I agree. He's a player. And listen, I hope I'm wrong about High Oak, but he's not on my tickets.
Well, there is Reasoned Analysis for Chad Brown. He's been off since June of last summer. Last seen in the Grade 1 Woody Stevens with Bookham Dano and Prince of Monaco ran 1-2. This was his big moment before that upset win at 15-1 in the Bayshore.
And he's a cool horse, and I'd love to see him have a good year, but he's also a horse that needs pace to run at. Certainly not getting any pace in this race based on what we see on paper. And to be honest, we've said this before, the barn has been underachieving lately. This is no 7-2 shot in my mind. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he runs well. But I think to take him at a short price in here would be nuts. There's just no speed in here. But he is kind of a cool horse, but he's also, while he improved, he's never run a race that's as fast as quite a few in here. Would you disagree with that?
That Bayshore, I was surprised, was rated a lot higher.
Okay.
Thoroughgraph-wise, but
Time Form and Beyer don't love that race.
I would tend to agree with you.
And listen, I hope he wins. I really do, but I'm not going to bet him. I certainly hope he runs well, and it's his first start coming back. Listen, R3 is 2-1. Maybe that's a really good sign, but I would never bet that horse at 2-1.
There again, Manny Franco, top the standings, having a terrific year again, and leading the way here at this meet. We'll see if he can collect number 3 on Just Beat the Odds coming up. You know, we talked about, and one of the reasons we liked, wow, he's favored now, just 24 Mamba, the 3.
Yeah, I just said that.
The recency, and then the other one who has at least a start back is the 2. He's my Honey Badger. Everyone else is coming off the long layoff. What about his chances to make an impact here?
Well, I think he has a real chance to make an impact in here. He has back figures that are good enough. He's second off a layoff. He cut a muddy sealed track. He's never run well in muddy sealed and wet tracks before. So the barn is going incredibly well. I think he has a big chance to run better. To me, the 3 that I want to use, looking at the board, I want to use the 2, 3, and 7. And what I'm going to do, since I can't bet the 3 to win, I'm going to try to get him an exacta with the 2 or 7.
Prices from Oaklawn, Demotivate, $9.20 for the win. As we get set for our post-parade coming up in a good feature, but a perplexing feature with all these layoff horses returning who, look, a lot of them, they've shown a lot of talent. It's good to see them back. It's a hard race to handicap, though, because of it.
Right. I mean, well, I think in these races, you partly let the board be your guide. Jonathan likes High Oak, and 5 to 1, I'm sure, is a good price to him on that horse, and I can't blame him. I just don't like him. And the 7 at 13 to 1, he seems like the one that's kind of the overlay.
Here's the Rail Runner. The 2 gets the inside. He's my Honey Badger.
Yeah, like we just said, I think he's a very, very interesting horse.
24, Mamba Kinder Carmouche for Michelle Giangiulio.
We like his chances. I think he can be a bit forward. He's been facing better horses, and he gets back to a dry track.
High Oak back for the first time since January 24.
He's got some races that are good, but he's got some races that aren't as good, and I want to see one off a layoff personally.
Just Beat the Odds. Gregory Sacco with a new gelding, long time away.
Yeah, he's taking a ton of money, which means he's probably going to run well for a barn that's been going very well.
Woody Stevens last time we saw Recent Analysis.
He's got talent. Perhaps he can move forward, but he does not benefit from the race dynamics in this race with a lack of pace.
And certainly is looking like the value of the race. Still surprising to see Stolen Base at 12 to 1. Romero Mirage aboard.
I agree. Well, they're probably because they know Romero's riding. Just kidding. He's a layoff horse, but at least you're getting paid if he wins. I got to bet a couple dollars on him.
3 minutes to post in this feature. Paul, your thoughts?
Well, obviously an interesting race with everybody with different opinions in here. And you're right, Greg, you made a good point. Is a lot of different horses are coming off layoffs and how they look. I will say this, the 4 High Oak, absolutely tremendous. But the horse on the screen, the 2, he's my Honey Badger, I thought looked well on the racetrack. And, you know, we keep talking about the lack of pace. I think this horse, with Louis Rivera aboard, is going to go. And I think this horse got a big shot. That's going to be my selection in here. Hopefully they play Catch Me If You Can. Now, when you look at the 3 horse in here, 24 Mamba, which I think both of you guys kind of like in here, you know, this horse is a way different horse when getting Lasix, and I think that's the key. 80 buyer, and then had a couple 90 buyers down below. So maybe the Lasix is why this horse is getting bet. The 5 looked tremendous on the racetrack as Gregory Sacco barn. Going to try to go back-to-back here, guys. First-time gelding, just looked the part warming up, to be honest with you. And I can understand why this horse is your favorite at 2 to 1. And then, like I said, High Oak, I thought looked well on the racetrack. I understand he hasn't won in a while. And then Recent Analysis, kind of more on his toes. And I'm wondering if Chad thought about that a little bit. You know, he's back on Lasix too as well. So I don't think the 6 is going to be as far back as you think. As you can see, it's a wide open betting board. I'm going to try to get the horse that goes gate to wire, Gregor.
2 to 1 favoritism, Just Beat the Odds. The 5 of the horses away. Just the price is too enticing on the 7.
At the end of the day, when he runs 6, we're going to say we should have known he was dead in the board, but I cannot resist him at that price. I bet the 3 in exactas with the 2 and 7, and I made a little win bet in the 7.
So High Oak, and we love Lee Einseidler, who owns this horse. Love to see this horse do well. He's not won since August of 2021.
That's a long time. That's a long. What is that? That was the first year we let people come back to Saratoga after the pandemic, right?
It was.
Yeah. And by the way, the 7's chilly. He's a little chilly too.
Yeah.
Overall, the Mop Barn does okay off layoffs over a year, but not at NYRA. They do not have good numbers at NYRA. Maybe it's a little bit random. Maybe it's not. It's a fun race because there's a case to be made for every single horse in this race, and a lot of it's going to depend on who's the ones that are ready to run off the layoff. And we'll find out who they are.
It's good that you bring that up, and certainly one of the most reliable trainers in this game, when you think of that, is the trainer of the 6, right?
Correct, Chad Brown. But lately, they just haven't been running that well, and I cannot endorse him with the lack of speed because he's probably got to run a better race than he's ever run before, and there's no pace. Believe me, I hope I'm wrong. I obviously would like to see him win. If I lose my bet, even if I want to see him run well, but I couldn't pick him here.
Here's the one with the rail. He's My Honey Badger. This is where Paul will wind up. Brad Cox barn, Luis Rivera Jr.
I think he's a very generous price at 6-1.
14 of his 29 starts, first or second with 8 wins. 24 Mamba, your selection. Second choice at 5-2. There he is with Kendrick Carmouche.
I would never bet him at 5-2 in here. You can't help the prices they are when you
10-1 morning line.
Yeah, you picked him too, and I don't think you're betting him at 5-2, are you?
No.
And I think you would if he was 6-1 or 5-1.
There's the favorite, has been throughout. The 5 just beat the odds. So the 4, the 5, the 6, the 7, all coming off a long time away, lengthy layoffs. Who will be ready to fire off the bench? It's the Sunday feature from Aqueduct. Here's Chris Griffin.
Base. Going in. All set. Movement to the outside, and they're off. Speed from Just Beat the Odds from in between horses right to the front and got there easily. It's Just Beat the Odds. Quick look back here from Manny Franco. Looks behind, and it's an easy lead for the front runner. Just Beat the Odds. Right to the outside, there's Stolen Base. It's a close-up second now. At the rail, He's My Honey Badger is in third. Then comes 24 Mamba, Reasoned Analysis, and the trailer is High Oak. They work up the backstretch and Just Beat the Odds. 23 seconds flat for that opening quarter mile. We'll take them into the far turn with less than 4 furlongs to go. Stolen Base right there in second. 24 Mamba's on the move. 3 wide, and here comes 24 Mamba, but Just Beat the Odds is now taking 2 lengths out of the field. Fully extended at the rail, He's My Honey Badger is trying to keep up from 4th. From the back, here comes the run from High Oak. The trailer Reasoned Analysis. Just Beat the Odds. Has barely been asked the entire race. Approaches a quarter mile left to go. No excuses. Hugs the rail. Kicks for home. Just Beat the Odds. Tries to sprint away. Is just doing that. 24 Mamba continues to pursue this leader. From far out of it, High Oak Reasoned Analysis. But Just Beat the Odds has a furlong left to go and is long gone. A 16th left. And it's Just Beat the Odds. Front running score wins this one easily. Just Beat the Odds over 24 Mamba. Reasoned Analysis from far out of it for third. Then came Stolen Base in 1 minute 16.65 seconds.
It's the favorite, Just Beat the Odds. Sharp out of the gate early. That was a good sign. Usually have a long time away. And then New Gelding gets the 4th win of his career.
They knew. They knew this horse was going to show up today. This was the one horse off a layoff that was really bet. Was bet hard in the doubles we mentioned and got bet the entire way through. Our horse at 22 Mama ran fine, but was no match for a horse who really ran a fast race. Look at the gaps. This horse won by about 4 lengths, and it feels like another 5 or 6 back to Reasoned Analysis. At least did a little bit of running.
1:16.3.
That feels like a fast race.
It is.
This is a good race. Going to get a big number.
5-3-6-7 in the feature as we head back to Hot Springs. 7th race coming up. 6-5 favorite, Money Supply from the inside for trainer Joe Sharp. Mile on a 16th distance here. Let's go to Mig.
Yeah, guys, before I get into horses, just a bit of an update. Joey Belmere, who was unseated in the 6th race on Miller's time, was transported to a local hospital. I went down by the ambulance. He was talking. Everything was fine. He was moving everything. He was complaining of pain in his collarbone. So he was transported to the hospital to get x-rays and be evaluated. But the good news is that he was talking, and really with collarbones, jockeys, it's like scraping a knee. So in the big scheme of things, he seems like he's okay. If I get more word about that before the end of the show, I'll let you guys know. And the horse himself was placed on the horse ambulance and taken back to the barn. He did clip heels, but sometimes when horses tumble, they have to be evaluated as well. So if I hear anything about the Horse Miller's time as well, I will get back to you about that, guys. They have opened the racetrack. The sun has come out. The track was sealed and labeled muddy. Now it is good, and it is an open, harrowed racetrack. You have a big favorite here, the even money shot on the inside, Money Supply, but man, this horse has been on grass. He's bounced all over. Obviously, he's faced against much, much better. But it almost feels like, in some respects, are they kind of trying to figure something out? And at a short price, I'm not on board that train. The 3 Auto Glide looks fantastic. You get Julien Leparoux, who's been riding in extremely good form here. And I think he sits a really nice trip stalking. He checked the boxes for me if there's going to be an upset, as did the 5 Golden Glider. You get Christian Torres, a horse that won 2 back in I thought it was a much tougher race last time. Woodcourt was in there. He won it. He was scratched from this. And I think if there's going to be an upset, it'd be the 3 and the 5. I just can't take 4 to 5 on a horse that they've been bouncing between turf and dirt, and even though he is a very accomplished horse and a stakes winner.
It was a great claim, Money Supply. They made a lot of money with him, claimed him off of Chad Brown and Klarovich, and did extremely well. I just wonder a little bit if he's sort of tailing off at this point, and I don't want horses down on the inside that may get off it. I thought the 4 was interesting here, Empire Builder.
With Rocco Bowen wants to use that speed early. Yep. Matt Dinnerman, the call. Here is the 7th start of the pick 4 from Oaklawn.
Here's Lipsay Bliss, Ramon Vasquez to complete the lineup of 9 entrants. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Empire Builder pushed upon to get to the front, and he's got the lead with 1 lap to go. Golden Glider takes 2nd, and in 3rd is Hero Status in the pink jacket. Empire Builder clearing off into the turn, a length in front of Golden Glider, who takes the 2nd spot. Hero Status 3 wide in 3rd, easing off the top pair. Auto Glide inside of him. Then a line of 3. Lipsay Bliss, Hearn, and the favorite Money Supply, who's in mid-division. He's 5 or 6 lengths behind, approaching the back stretch. Gap of 4 to Happy Strike, who's 2nd to last. And Calibrate is at the back of the pack as they make their way up the back stretch. Empire Builder, the pacemaker in the first leg of the late pick 4, a length in front. Golden Glider in a good hold here, 2nd, and galloping right behind the leader. Gap of 2 to Hero Status. Auto Glide glides inside of him, a gap of another 2 to a line of 3. Lipsay Bliss, Money Supply niggled along just a little bit, taking the 5th position away from Lipsay Bliss, and Hearn, who's in the middle of that threesome. 2.5 back to Happy Strike. Calibrate has dropped back to trail as they go into the far turn. Empire Builder, 3 furlongs to go, a length in front. Golden Glider appears to be going okay, still in 2nd, getting a little bit closer. Empire Builder, though, he's tough on the front end and kicks on by a length. Golden Glider, now he's shaken up a little bit in 2nd. 3 back to Auto Glide. Money Supply, Rafael Bejarano getting to work on him, being asked to get going as they come to the top of the lane here. Golden Glider catching up to Empire Builder. Money Supply took him a little while to get going, but he's producing a charge down the center of the track. Money Supply and Bejarano. Golden Glider in front, but Money Supply reeling him in with a 16th to go. Money Supply to the front, and Money Supply, Rafael Bejarano with a big day. 4 wins for the Journey bid. Money Supply gets the money over Golden Glider, Auto Glide, and 4th was Empire Builder, the early leader, faded to 4th late.
Money Supply, 6-year-old, still got it. 9th win of his career. And getting very close to $800,000 in earnings.
And even with the track opening up, it feels like they're doing the best running in the middle of the racetrack, which he did in this situation. Good call by Richie with a 3 and 5. They ran well to be 2nd and 3rd. Money Supply, the drop down, got it done. I still think he's tailing off a bit, but he found this field too easy for him.
It's him, widest of everyone. Silks and Jordan Wyckoff. 4-win days. You heard from Matt Dinnerman for Rafael Bejarano. Good for him. And this one rather easily.
Rafael Bejarano, a former winner of the Intertrack Winter Meet. He has an Inter Meet title. We've got some pretty big names with some Winter Meet titles going back. Not just guys like Irad, and of course, the great Ramon Dominguez. I miss Ramon.
So good.
Such a great, great rider and great guy, too.
Still with the record, most wins ever in a summer at Saratoga.
He was a phenomenal rider.
We're going to take a timeout. It was Money Supply on the 7th at Oaklawn. We'll be back with more right after this nightcap to come in New York.
Olympiad leads American Revolution. Olympiad gets the gold in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Right around the corner, we're ready to do it again. Belmont Stakes at Saratoga after it was such a success last summer. Those festival tickets on sale now. BelmontStakes.com/tickets. Be part of just an incredible experience. It's going to sell out.
No, it was a great week of racing last year. There's a 5th day this year, New York Bred Showcase Day on Wednesday, and the only thing you hope for is good weather. Because if it's good weather, it's going to be a great weekend. If it's lousy weather, it's still going to be a fun weekend. But good weather helps.
Intercontinental Poker, Tremont Astoria for the 2-year-olds on June 5th.
Multiple grade 1s on Friday, June 6th. Acorn, the Ogden Phipps. Okay, the New York, just a game, 4 races for fillies and mares, or fillies in the case of the Acorn. And the 27-mile Belmont Gold Cup, as well as the Bed of Roses. And then, of course, Belmont Stakes Day.
What a lineup.
And you have a free dinner coming one day, too.
I do.
You want a dinner bet from me.
Looking forward to that. Oh, it's that week I get it.
Any week you want, Greg.
Okay.
That weekend might be a little tricky. I've got important friends.
I know you do.
You're going to have to wait.
I'll take a back seat.
Celebrities come.
That's
down.
fine.
You take a back seat to nobody, Greg Wolf.
8th at Aqueduct, 3-win day for Manny Franco. As the public got this one right, everybody knew apparently except us. Just Beat the Odds was the one off the bench to go with.
Well, that's the thing. You know, we were talking about this with the morning line. It's very hard for a morning line maker to make a line in a race like this because you've got 4 layoff horses, all with credentials. But you know a couple of them are going to be kind of chilly on the board. And how do you guess that this is the one that's going to take all the money? I think once you see that, it just changes. So it's so thankless. It's a thankless job anyway, particularly thankless here. And I'll tell you something. This is a fast race, and there were a lot of gaps in here. It's going to come back a big figure. Off of this race, I don't know where the number's going to come back, but I'm guessing it's in the 90s. And I won't be shocked if this horse throws his hat in the ring for the Carter. Why not? Strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah. Well, April 5th, I believe.
AKA Wood Day.
Yes. He is certainly, you know, before he went to the bench, too, he was running very big figures. Now this off the layoff.
Very big race.
$6 for the win, 24 Mamba. A ways back in second. Reasoned Analysis checks in third. Here we go in the nightcap. 1 turn mile, New York Breds. $25,000 claiming race in Montebello. Brew Pub. A rematch of that 1-2 finish between them back on February 9th.
But the scratches dramatically not only took players out of the race, but they dramatically changed the dynamics of the race. And they put Montebello in a situation where instead of having contend what could have been a contentious pace, he looks like he's the controlling speed. He's going to be very hard to beat. I took a little shot with Boss making Boss moves, be a better price. I didn't want to change my picks, but Montebello's the one to beat.
Back at Oaklawn, Money Supply. As you said, incredible claim. This horse is just shy of $800,000 per earnings now.
This is the best claim ever away from Chad Brown, I believe. This is a horse that, he had a lot of layoffs, a lot of issues. He'd run some fast races, but claimed him, I think, for 40 up in Saratoga. I think they've made $500,000 with him. He's got graded stakes wins. It's a cool horse. Joe Sharp has really done a good job with this horse. I never thought he was a horse that wanted to go. I thought he was a 7 furlong to a mile 1-turn horse, turned into a router.
Stakes winner on the grass, graded stakes winner on the dirt. This all since the claim.
Yeah, I think running on the grass, I kind of agree with Rich eating at. I don't know why they kept running on the grass. He's more of a dirt horse.
Put together a pretty neat career, though. $4.20 for the win in that 7th. We're going to take a timeout. Nightcap, again, coming up in New York. And that man right there, he's going to have a couple of chances in the finale, including the 3-2 favorite, Montebello. Horse next door as well in Jackson Heights. We'll see what he can do to close things out right after this.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 55 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel, averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sire of yearlings in 2024. Curlin, the classic sire.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Introducing Peace and Justice, new to New York in 2025. A proven sire with over 200 wins, 16% wins per starts, and one of only 2 New York-based stallions to have a graded stakes winner at Saratoga in 2024. Now, with 3 different racing surfaces coming to New York, and with New York breds running for equal purses as open company, Peace and Justice is the sure choice for 2025. Peace and Justice, now standing at Irish Hill and Duchess View Stallions in New York.
Irish Hill Century Farm in Stillwater has grown to 450 acres. Expansion demanded by Mayer owners.
Got the Saratoga water. You know, we have the minerals. It's on sandy ground, and underneath there, that water's got everything in it that you want.
And Mayer owners want the farm stallions. Kentucky Derby and Preakness winner Big Brown.
And his babies, they run just like him. He adds leg, body. If you need improvement, Big Brown's gonna do it.
King for a Day is by emerging sire of sires, Uncle Mo. Lookin' at Lee earned his spot on the roster by finishing second in the 2017 Kentucky Derby. War Dancer's offspring have earned more than $5 million. Warrior's Charge is a son of Munnings who notched 2 Grade 3 wins on his way to earning more than $1 million. And everyone's waiting to see if the handsome son of American Pharoah, Waiting, produces the kind of speed he himself displayed as a 2-year-old in training. The stallion roster is a joint operation between Irish Hill and Duchess Views Farm.
And we decided to merge the stallions, put them under one roof and co-manage them together. And it's worked out great. We're saving the owners a lot of money, and we're getting more mares to the stallions.
Beginning with the 2023 breeding season, the partnership expanded to include multiple Grade 1 winner Mind Control, who stands at Rock Ridge Stud in Hudson.
Lorray and I and Rick Burke at Irish Hill and Jerry Belinsky have been talking about doing this for years, and he came along and it just gave us the impetus to do it.
For more information on the New York Thoroughbred and Breeding Fund, go to nybreds.com.
Big Brown, his debut, one of the all-time great debuts. I think he won by 11 lengths and went 140 and change for a mile to 16th of the turf as a 2-year-old.
Yeah, on the grass where he started his career.
Closing day at Saratoga, didn't run again until he was 3. Partly purchased by IEH, went to Rick Dutrow. Pat Reynolds originally had him. What a horse he was. Whoa.
And then wins from
post
20.
Post 12 and post 32. He had the 12 and the 20 in the Florida Derby. And at that point, post 12 was a lot worse than post 20 in the Derby because no horses were from out there. He was born in the right year in a lot of ways, but was he good.
Well, here is one of the 2 for Rob Atras. This is the favorite, Montebello. Manny Franco looking for number 4 on this one. Let's go back to February 9th when he outdueled Brewpub for the win.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was a very different race looking at it because you have Potential Speed, Supreme Song, Amadeus Music. Felt like there was going to be some push pressure. Now there really isn't much, so he figures to control again. I had liked Brewpub, a horse who's done his best running on wet tracks. They're an amazing record, right? 1 for 27 on a dry track, and he's 3 for 15 on a wet track. But he has run fast figures on both. He ran very well, and he's in a situation where he can control again. I'm going to stick with Boss making boss moves. I hate to go off of a horse that's a bigger price for a very short price, but to suggest that Montebello's not the horse to beat here would be ridiculous, at least in my opinion.
So 3-2 on that one right there. The horse he just beat, that's Brewpub. We'll take another crack at him. Just claimed, new barn down. Let's go to JK for more on Brewpub.
Yeah, I actually like the 6 Brewpub. And this is a situation where, sometimes I wish I could go back in a time capsule, or not a time capsule, time machine. Time capsule would be for you to bury me and find me later. That would be weird. A time machine to where there wasn't replay so easily available in shows like this where I could find some value on horses like the 6 Brewpub for his last trip. He broke slowly. It was a very, very tough trip, and I thought he ran extremely well to run second off of his first race since December. He looks to take another step forward. I'm never upset when a Cantor Mossy takes over a horse's training. There's obviously an opportunity for them to take a step forward. And right now at 2-1, I've got no problem playing him against the 8 Montebello. I don't disagree with Andy that Montebello's not the horse to beat, right? Because he can make his own trip, and you don't necessarily trust a horse sometimes that starts breaking slow and breaks slow consistently, because maybe that's just who they are. But man, I got to give Brewpub at least one more shot off of that trip last time.
2-1 for the rematch. Okay, Cantor Barn taking over, claiming off of Chris Engelhardt. Last time out now, Jose Lascano, who knows him. He was aboard him last time out, back aboard.
Listen, I stay with my picks, and I picked the race 4-6-8. I don't have a big argument with anything Jonathan said. I like Brew Pub. He's just not really that much of a winning type. He's 4 for 51. I also am a fan of the job that OK Cantramachi does, but I'm also a fan of the job Chris Englehart does, who had him. So I like OK, and I think he does a terrific job training, but I don't think he's doing a better job than Chris Englehart. So he can win, but 4 for 51 with 13 seconds. Just a little hard for me to take, especially at 2-1.
7 minutes away from the nightcap coming up. There's Romero Mirage and those purple silks in the background there. He's getting the pickup mount on the one you like. Boss making boss moves. The 5 for Rudy Rodriguez.
I think there's a reasonable question whether or not his form is tailed off, but he's coming out of a slow-paced race where he's sort of buried down on the inside. He's lost to horses that are better than these. I think he's getting significant class relief on a drop that he needed. Now, he may be dropping because his form has just left him, but I thought he was a little bit interested if he could run his race. And after all, he's the horse. You were on. Were you on, or was it Lafitte when Rajiv offered to buy drinks for the entire racetrack if Boss Making Boss Moves won? Finished first or second at Saratoga.
I was not on for that.
Yes, and it was the race that he won back in Saratoga. Can we bring that, Bobby, can we bring that up? We should have said in the meeting we want to have the video of Rajiv declaring Boss Making Boss Moves has absolutely no chance. He paid $9. And he was trained by Tom Morley. So not only does he have no chance, he was knocking horse trained by Maggie's husband. That Raj, he's got some chops.
Did he make good on his, did he buy the entire racetrack?
He did. It cost him $400,000.
Okay.
Everybody had martinis, and that's why he's back riding, yeah. Okay. But I saw him, actually. He cashed a check for $400,000 and bought everyone drinks. I know he bought Maggie. He did buy Maggie and Tom drinks at the sales. And they did text me and asked me if he wanted to come over, and I think I started running home at that point.
Well, he's got some good races to go back to. The last couple of races have not been very good, and that's the concern for Boss Making Boss Moves. Take a look at Eric Cancel.
Who's having quietly a pretty good meet, by the way.
Yes, he is. He's going to be on the long shot Horse Be With You, the 3, and there's the 3. He's going to inherit the rail in this nightcap. And was, in against Montebello Brew Pub last time out. Was no match for them. But that was off a layoff, coming in from Parks, and was a muddy sealed track. 0 for 7 on a wet track.
I actually think this horse is a little bit interesting here. He got in pretty good form last year. The problem is he got a good form when he could sort of get loose in the lead and, in distance races. And I don't think he's as fast as Montebello. We'll see if Eric's a little more aggressive today.
Leg up to the man who's won 3, looking for his 4th here on the favorite. 6-5, Manny Franco on Montebello. 1 and 2 in the race for Rob Atras. 5 for 21 lifetime, a first or second in 11 of his 21 starts. Pretty consistent.
No, listen, you don't need it. He's just a very logical horse. He's been in some good barns, but he's in a good barn for Rob Atras. I don't have a knock on him. He's 6-5, and he's the horse to beat.
Now here's Eric Cancel, and this is Horse Be With You. Again, gets the rail.
I thought he was a little interesting, a horse that could move a little forward today.
Boss Making Boss Moves, Romero Mirage.
I'm going to take him on the drop down, but it is a race a little tougher with the scratches.
Allure of Money, Lane Luzzy. This one just claimed.
Off the claim and moving up precipitously, it would be tough.
Brew Pub, Jonathan likes in the rematch here after getting beat by Montebello last start.
Yeah, I don't like, and Jonathan brought it up, the fact that he's having some issues out of the gate, but I don't disagree as a player.
Jackson Heights, it's the other Rob Atras runner.
This horse just has absolutely no speed, and now the race is really, there's no speed. Just don't see how he gets it done off the dynamics.
And here's his stable mate, who's the now even money favorite.
Yeah, he's the favorite because he's the horse to beat.
So Manny Franco, Paulie, can he make it 4 here in this finale?
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you at all. Montebello is the horse to beat in here. And, with the scratches of the 1, 2, and 9, definitely, can control this racing. But sometimes when other horses scratch, I think some other horses will try to go to the front end. So maybe the 5 Allure of Money I just don't know if he's fast enough. Or the 3 Horse Be With You has shown speed in the past, but you just never know what's going to happen. So Andy's right. The race dynamics are a little tough. So when you look at a horse like the 8 here, Montebello, a horse that's in pretty good form, a 5-time winner, actually really good form, to a horse named Brew Pub, that's 4 for 51 lifetime with 13 seconds. So I get it. The last 2 races has been, uneventful beginnings and a stumbled break, and then the horse was giant last time out, and I know goes into Cantramachi barn like JK was saying, but my worry is just doesn't punch his ticket enough for me with 19 seconds and thirds. You know, the 7 outlooks the field by a mile. I mean, he really does. I talked to Rob about him. He's like, listen, he just gets in the wrong field today with no speed. But, you know, he might be really far back, but you look at some of his races, he's beaten the 6 Brew Pub before. He might not need the pace to beat this group, to be honest with you, because I think he just outlooks the group. Now, the 8, again, is the horse to beat. And it really is hard to look on paper and see whether the 7 can really get it done. But, man, he is a drink of water. He looked tremendous in the paddock. And I know I'm probably up against it with the pace, but I just can't get over the way the horse looks. So I'll go with the 7 here, Jackson Heights.
Going with the other Rob Atras runner who, look, he's going to need some help just from a pace standpoint in here, but does make a good appearance. 5-1 with Chris Elliott, who will ride, son of Stuart Elliott of Smarty Jones fame.
I'm worried that my horse is compromised by the pace. This horse could be in another zip code. He could be at Home Depot when the field's turning for home.
He is going to have a lot of work to do. No question.
Get that great ride up the gold rail to win for Dylan Davis up in Saratoga.
Who's coming back to New York, by the way.
When?
In April.
Well, why wouldn't he? Do you think he was going to stay at Gulfstream forever? He's had a pretty decent meet down there, right?
Just reporting what I read.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm leaving soon, so I'm getting a little ornery. Yeah, we look forward to Dylan coming back. And I thought it was a fool's errand for him to go down there, but he has done pretty well down there. But he would have done very well up here. He would have done very well up here. Listen, he's obviously really, stepped up his game over the last year. And I just think, and I wish him only good luck in his success despite his tweeting, it's not the way it used to be going to Gulfstream in the winter. I think it's changed a little bit. And, maybe he has some access, but it's hard. Horses are in Payson. They're at Palmettos. They're far away from the racetrack. And working horses, you could still always go down there on weekends. I just don't know if it's the same as it used to be going down there.
But getting opportunities to ride for some very big barns that have horses that are going to be in the kind of races he wants to, he should be considered to win for now, that he's made this turn in his career.
No, I agree. I would have stayed here if I was him because the money's good. And he would have done very well here in the winter and made more money, but maybe he'll get some opportunities. And listen, if at the end of the year he ends up with competitive horses in Triple Crown races or stake races that he wouldn't have had otherwise, he clearly made the right decision. And nothing happens overnight. You can't just go there and expect it miraculously changes everything. And if he's happy with the decision he made, then that's great. That's all that matters.
Well, this one, again, that was a brilliant ride. Last summer, Saratoga just hanging to the inside all the way around the track and scoring that upset.
He came up the gold rail. I mean, that was a brilliant ride. That really was. That was probably one of the very best rides of the entire summer.
Well, Jackson Heights, Paulie's pick, 9-2. Montebello, though, his stablemate, even money favorite as Manny Franco looks for a 4th on this Sunday card. Set for the nightcap. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Brew Pub. Jackson Heights. Montebello to the outside. Montebello. Still waiting there. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Very slow start for Jackson Heights is going to be the trailer. It's already about 4 lengths, now 5 at the back end of the field. Allure of Money right to the front and challenge to the outside from Montebello. Also switching to the outside is going to be Brew Pub as they're well spread apart as they come out of the chute. Just in behind them, there's the gray. Horse Be With You is now a length and a half clear from Boss Making Boss Moves, and after the start, Jackson Heights is the distant trailer. They work up the back stretch. Allure of Money has company towards the outside here from Montebello. Then comes Brew Pub, still these 3 across the track, and they went 23 and 4 for the opening quarter mile. Horse Be With You gets a nice trip here from 4th, is watching that leading trio. It's a pressured tempo as they didn't go that quickly, but Allure of Money with a nose in front. Boss Making Boss Moves, and here comes Jackson Heights. Starts to warm to the task, is now within 5 of the lead. 47 and 1 for that half-mile time. In between horses, the favorite, Montebello, is trying to shake free with Allure of Money hanging tight at the rail. 3 wide run, there's Brew Pub. Horse Be With You is making hard work of it, switches to the outside, now starts to pick up these rivals. Jackson Heights has really worked into the race, has done it very handily, and now Jackson Heights is called upon for the effort. The trailer, Boss making boss moves. They get set to reach the top of the stretch. Montebello is fighting on to the inside, Allure of Money to the outside, Brew Pub. Here, down the grandstand side, that's the run from Horse Be With You. Jackson Heights splits rivals. Does Jackson Heights have enough? It is. Horse Be With You in front. Montebello is still in it. Jackson Heights still makes up all the ground at the rail. Horse Be With You has got the lead, but for how long? Jackson Heights is lunging. Jackson Heights to the inside of Horse Be With You. Horse Be With You wins it. Horse Be With You over Jackson Heights, Montebello, and Brew Pub in 1 minute 39.79 seconds.
Horse Be With You, Eric Cancel. Those big white blinkers on the outside, just up in 901.
Excellent ride by Eric, saving ground behind horses, sat behind what was not a torrid duel, but there was an honest pace. And obviously that hurt Montebello more than it looked like on paper, and he moved out at the right time to get it done. The 7 broke a little slowly, but Paulie was right. He ran today. I mean, he took a tough beat, and a good ride by Christopher Elliott on him. Obviously, the 7, though, getting left to start did not help his chances, but he had his chance to get up. Paul was right. He ran better today.
Look at that. A horse is already going to be pace compromised. Hops out of there and just spots the field several lengths.
I'm a little mad at myself. I should have picked this horse higher.
And then
I just didn't know he was
miss.
good enough. Excellent ride by Eric.
And look, Christopher Elliott getting this horse back in the game. Up the fence.
And it took a while, but Rajiv was finally right about boss moves. I was just texting Raj, telling him I was making fun of him.
Hope he's doing well. Race 8 at Oaklawn. 2-turn mile. Maiden special weight coming up as we shift gears. Plaza Q, the favorite, 8-5. Let's go to Mig.
Yeah, Greg, and just for everybody to take note of, it is a race that starts and ends at the 16th pole, the 1 mile race here at Oaklawn Park. We'll go to the inside, starting with Ever Loving from our friend and colleagues barn, Tom Amos. She is a half to world record, grade 2 winner of the Amsterdam last year. And the pedigree suggests, particularly on the female side of the family, more sprint pedigree. But I've always been under the idea that horses stretching out for the first time that maybe don't necessarily want to go too far, run their first time 2 turns as their best time. And she made a great impression from the physical perspective, shipping up from Tom's Fairgrounds base, training there. The 2, Princess Aliyah. This is her Grand Dam is winning colors, the first of Wayne Lucas's 4 Kentucky Derby winners. I thought her last race was an improvement. She showed good speed. Nick Juarez picks up the mount here, and I think she's a player for sure. The 3, Serafia, I thought it's a little bit interesting. You know, this is a horse that competed first 2 times without Lasix, ran decently enough, and then for the 3rd start, was put on Lasix and was essentially eased. So she comes off Lasix now, and I think it's just important to point out that, you know, one size doesn't fit all, and every horse is an individual, and some have a negative reaction to Lasix, so she will compete for the Asmussen Barn off of Lasix. And then your favorite, Plaza Q. Listen, there's a lot to like. She is drawn a bit towards the outside, but she has a lot of natural speed. And you got Kenny McPeak with Brian Hernandez, the heroes of yesterday, with the return of your horse of the year, Torpedo Anna. Going to be very, very tough to beat. Should be forward. And I do think you want to stay off the inside. That's one of the things that I've kind of noticed today, Jonathan.
Well, hopefully your friend Tyler Bacon will get this horse off the inside. I think the 1, Ever Loving, is a little bit interesting. It's one of those situations where, look, I believe the 8 and the 9 are the most likely winners. I do believe that one of them gets their picture taken. But there's not much meat on that bone, so I thought I'd go to the 1, Ever Loving. Ever Loving, when you start following this game and you're watching it as often as we are and you're connected to it in lots of different ways, you just sometimes latch on to stories or certain horses that you know at one point were thought of as horses that had a little bit of talent. Ever Loving is a half sister to World Record, who we saw up at Saratoga run an unbelievable race this summer, and a very talented horse. He wasn't very good when he started to get a little bit tougher in the Grade 1 races, but he was a talented horse. This horse is also a half to Salivo Spritz. So I was obviously following Ever Loving. Tom had mentioned this summer the horse had some talent, just hasn't really put it all together. But today you're trying something new. And I think sometimes when you have a horse that you had maybe had heard was really good or that you thought was really good for various reasons, when they try that something new, sometimes that something new is what wakes them up, that allows them to kind of show the talent that maybe you or someone else had thought was always there. It's a little bit of a shot in the dark if this horse will appreciate the added distance, but there at least was some talent there at one point, and in a race in which the two favorites are very likely. I couldn't separate between the two of them, so why not take a little bit of a price? I'll take the one, Ever Loving, but to Richie's point, I hope Tyler gets him off the rail. Her off the rail, excuse me.
11-1. Thank you, J.K. Ever Loving, for our buddy Tom Amoss. We'll see if she appreciates this stretch out going beyond 7 furlongs for the first time, getting 2 turns for the first time.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I found this race completely inscrutable. I mean, I just thought it was a very, very hard race.
Now, Ken McPeak, Brian Hernandez Jr. with the 8-5 favorite, Plaza Q. Well, third time be the charm for her. Public thinks so. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
La Fantastica, Vino Tiempo. 2 back. Good game coming up. And to the outside post we wait on B Bluff. Here's B Bluff coming up to the gate. Fernando Hara aboard. And we are ready to go. And Laroff. Blue and his crew caught him in a great line. Ever Loving from the inside as a narrow lead on the gray Princess Aaliyah. Serafia not far off. A DPS Ma'am is 4 wide going into the first turn run. Good game right behind that Quartet as they corner. Achieve is outside of that rival in the 2 path. Plaza Q, the favorite, is 3 wide in a good position. Now 4 lengths off the pace. A length and a half back to La Fantastica. B Bluff a half length off of her in a space of 5 to Vino Tiempo, who's at the back of the pack. Approaching the backstretch run, Ever Loving and Tyler Bacon showing the way a half length. Princess Aaliyah, Nick Juarez pressing from the outside. A length and a half back to Yes Ma'am. Good game there side by side. Serafia backs away from the speed. She's now 5th with Plaza Q. Achieve right behind them with La Fantastica third last. B Bluff shown more rain in the second last position while under some pressure now, and she's 4 ahead of Vino Tiempo as they approach the 4th turn. Remember, this race will end at the 16th pole. Into the turn. Ever Loving, Princess Aaliyah. They're side by side. Princess Aaliyah going to the front. Ever Loving struggling to keep up. Yes Ma'am third. Plaza Q given the cue to go. And she takes the 2nd position after Princess Aaliyah as they round the far turn. Princess Aaliyah length in front. Plaza Q asks for more on the outside 2nd. Princess Aaliyah coming to the top of the lane. A length in front of Plaza Q in 3rd. Ever Loving is given way. Yes Ma'am into the 3rd position as they come down the lane. Princess Aaliyah still going strong. Princess Aaliyah a length in front. Plaza Q's trying to reel her in, but Princess Aaliyah's finding more on the front end. Princess Aaliyah going to get the maiden diploma today. Plaza Q, the bridesmaid again, 2nd best. Vino Tiempo from a mile behind ran on for 3rd. Just got that position over Serafia.
A very expensive filly, $1.2 million purchase. Breaks her maiden 5th time here for the coach, Steve Wayne Lucas.
Yeah, was able to get it done and hold off the 8. I kept thinking the 8 was going to get her done, Plaza Q, but she could not run her down. And Wayne Lucas gets to break her maiden in her 5th start.
Nick Juarez aboard for the victory, daughter of Into Mischief. And maybe she'll start to turn the corner after this performance. 3rd start off a short time away. And we're going to say so long to Andy Serling. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
One old guy wins a race, another old guy leaves the set. So I'm out of here, but I'll see you later next week.
All right, Paula Duca going to step in after this timeout. So long to Andy. We'll be back with a lot more, including the feature from Oaklawn right after this, when America's Day at the Races continues.
Monaco
goes Too Good for Moose, an impressive winner of the best pal. Miramondi's all hot, but Prince of Monaco Too Good.
Prince of Monaco, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Nestled behind the gates of Hillendale Farm at Alapa, you can find a cabin-like 5,000 square foot home called the Treehouse. It's a new one-of-a-kind getaway destination located in the heart of horse country. The home offers hewn beams, flooring made from lumber harvested from Maker's Mark's original rickhouse. A room with vintage horse saddles, the collection includes one that belonged to the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley. You can enjoy a drink or a meal on the back screened porch or one of 4 decks that overlook the tranquil Stoner Creek. Upon request, reservations can be purchased to experience an inside look of a working thoroughbred farm with a tour of Hillendale. The Treehouse now offers a unique place to stay on the grounds that house the famed Kentucky Stallion Station and Thoroughbred Nursery of Hillendale at Alapa.
Such a beautiful facility. Our program brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. As I welcome upstairs to the set, Paul LaDuca. Good to see you as we saw the feature ahead here from Oaklawn.
Yeah, very good feature as well. Only scratched one horse here, the one running with the boys, but this is a very contentious group, to be honest with you. I mean, you can go with many different ways, and Tax is in here trying to make another run, and I think that she is definitely the one to beat.
Former Black-Eyed Susan winner, one of the best Randy Morse has ever had. She's a great story for him. Let's wrap up the one we just showed you. And Princess Aaliyah for D. Wayne Lucas, $1.2 million filly, gets her first win.
Yeah, it seems like the coach's horses, Mr. Lucas, they've been running really well. And Nikki Juarez does such a good job being really aggressive with a lot of Lucas horses, putting them close to the lead or on the front end. And she just kept on finding more. And like you said, expensive purchase into Mischief out of a Mr. Greeley mare, silver colors, and she definitely is silver. 960 on top.
2.84 finish, a 66-1 shot.
Wow.
Hitting the board. for Tom Vance to round out that trifecta and helping it pay quite a bit, $325 for 50 cents. Back in New York, closing out the card. Horse Be With You, Eric Cancel at 9-1 to get this victory, and nice pick by you, a four-star Compromise Jackson Heights.
Yeah, but you got to give credit to the three. You know, this is a horse that if you look, he had never really passed horses. He had one race at Finger Lakes, but kind of a horse that usually likes to go to the front end. So Eric was able to kind of adjust a little bit. I thought Christopher Elliott did a brave thing trying to get the 7 through. And right here, I thought maybe I'm going to be a winner, but you could always tell Horse Be With You kind of was seeing the 7 and had a little bit more left.
Made it awfully tight, though, in the end. Despite a beginning where he spotted the field several lengths from a horse who's going to be way out of it anyway. Big effort in defeat. 3, 7, 8 finished Montebello, 4-5. Can do no better than third. And as a result, pick 6 on a carryover day. Just over $9,000. Pick 5 over $1,360.
Pretty good pay. I mean, this horse was a tough horse to get to. I mean, a 9-1, so then the card. So $9,000 is good. Nice. If you got it, well done.
Yesterday at Oaklawn, and we're going to see part 2 coming up in April. The return for the reigning horse of the year, Torpedo Anna. What do you think of the performance?
I thought it was good. And anybody wants to knock it, it's the first start of our 4-year-old campaign. You could say it's maybe workmanlike, and maybe she's turning into that type of filly. Then you can also say, has she been the same horse since she ran in the Travers? Because her numbers have gone down a little bit. I will give the Louisiana filly, Free Like a Girl. She took her best shot at her. I think the wet racetrack helped her out a little bit. But then again, you know, wet racetrack, first start of her career. She got worked up a little bit again, but she still got the W, and I think she's going to be a lot more fitter for her next start.
Just seemed to do it pretty easily,
Yeah,
too. Like, there was probably a lot more in the tank if it was needed. It was not. That's a good sign. Great starting point. You would think, all in all, I would think we're going to see there's bigger and better performances in the future. And this is not the race they want to unleash.
Oh, no. Yeah. And I think she's getting to the point now, Greg, where, you know, champion horses like this are so brilliant, so smart. She kind of knows what she needs to do. So she's getting into that aspect where, you know, the numbers might not be flashy, but she keeps on winning races. Now everybody goes, okay, well, let's step up and see what happens. Well, when she stepped up against Fierceness, she almost beat him. So I think she's got that extra gear when she needs it.
April 12th, that's when we're looking at seeing her next in the Grade 1 Apple Blossom. This was the prep for that big one in that distaff division. Clearly still the queen, and we'd love to see it. You know, a lot has to happen to get there, but Kenny McPeak has already talked about, again, facing the boys this year now as a 4-year-old. So if she can keep winning and putting in big performances, maybe this summer, Saratoga, we see that star showdown with her against the boys again.
Well, I think it's something that will happen if she can get through with, you know, this little bit of a gauntlet. Now, Kenny did say he was going to take her back to the fairgrounds and then get her settled again, bring her back for the Apple Blossom. She'll probably be a heavy favorite. She gets the job done. The one thing that you got to love about it, she ran so well at Saratoga. This is a high kind of strung filly, and she ran so well with that tranquil Saratoga backside. I think she enjoyed it there last year. So if you're ever going to take on the boys like Rachel did, you and I were on set when we watched Rachel against the boys. It would be at Saratoga.
And maybe one of the biggest positives, too, was, you know, she could be a little bit high-strung. She was pretty well behaved.
Yeah.
Going into the gate and all that. And that was with a late scratch of the gate, too, that kind of delayed things. So maybe she's matured a little bit in that respect, too.
Yeah, and the key is, you know, Kenny said, you know, he stood her in the gate in and out, and he wanted to make sure because he knows that could be her one hiccup. She overcame it because she was so brilliant at Saratoga, but that could be her one hiccup. She's a gamer. I would call her a gamer because she knows when the race is going to go off. You can physically see her get ready to go, and she gets amped up a little bit, but that's just her.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Young man who the trainer we just saw collect a victory. He's been given some big shots to. Tyler Bacon, of course, Dwayne Lucas, been putting on this young man on some major horses in Oaks and Derby preps, and he's been making quite a statement in Hot Springs.
Justify comes roaring home. He's just immortal. Justify is the 13th
claws to the front here. Arabian Lion to win the Grade 1 Woody Stephens. One minute, 21 and 3/5 seconds.
Selling the best. Fasig-Tipton graduates won more Eclipse Awards in 2024 than any other sale company. Torpedo Anna, Moira, National Treasure, Sierra Leone, Soul of an Angel, Straight No Chaser, Fasig-Tipton, eclipsing the competition.
And clear off in the Naira Benz Haskell.
In the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
Dornoch setting up moderate pace, 3/4 of a length ahead.
And the field turns for home.
They're at it again. The two Belmont first and second place finishers.
Mind Frame on the outside. It's coming after Dornoch.
Dornoch wins the Haskell.
It will be Dornoch to win the Belmont Stake.
I'm 17 years old and I've pretty much been around horses my whole life. I'm from Crow Agency, Montana. You know, when I was a little kid, I was riding little tiny ponies, and with my friends, we ride all over town. When I was like 4 or 5 years old, my dad, he took me out to the track with him and I got to see him ride. When I started getting older, like 14, 15, I started riding out of the gates for my uncle Cody, and that's when I really wanted to do it. As soon as I turned 16 years old, like not even a couple of days after I got my license at Columbus, Nebraska. After I worked my first horse, I rode races, so it was kind of an experience. People tell me a lot that I have a natural talent, and so that's awesome to hear. I rode my first one and I won it, and then ever since then, that's all I wanted to do. Riding with some of the top riders in the country, I think I've been learning a lot, and they've been helping me out a lot, like Christian Torres, Rafael Bejarano, D. Wayne Lucas. He's been giving me the opportunities. The first time I went and worked the horse for Lucas, I was pretty nervous, I'm not gonna lie. Mr. Lucas taught me a lot ever since I've been riding for him. He's shown me stuff I could do better. If I win the race, he'll tell me how I could do better, and even if I win the race, he still tells me to keep my head up, and I'm doing good, so it means a lot. Some of my goals are just to get to the winner's circle over there and have fun out there and get home safe, you know, and try and ride as much horses as I can and keep riding as long as I can and stay fit and stay healthy, you know, because I want to be doing this as long as I can too.
He's been a terrific story. Look at that, third in the standings right now for this teenager who was getting major opportunities for the likes of, you know, Big Barnes, D. Wayne Lucas. He was in a Derby prep, and he's been delivering.
Yeah, and credit to him. You know, just he's a sponge. He's taking it all in. I love what he says about D. Wayne Lucas. He even tells him what he can do better when he wins races, and I think that's such a key component. The great coach Mike Krzyzewski once said, I don't need to address my team when they have a really bad night because they're going to get phone calls and they're going to hear it all in the media. You need to address them when they win and make sure they're not too high. And I think that advice is great advice for a kid like Tyler. And, you know, with Mr. Lucas putting trust in him, he's doing very, very well. 28 wins this meet is tough to do.
Mig, I know you've been a big fan of him. What can you tell us about him?
Well, I mean, his natural ability is on display on a daily basis, guys. He's just got a feel, a touch. Horses run up into his hands beautifully. He's got a very solid, balanced seat. And keeping a horse balanced and letting them use their stride efficiently allows them to carry their speed further. They don't use their energy up in an inefficient manner. And he's just a really nice kid. I mean, you talk to him for a few minutes and you like him because there is a genuineness about him. I've been really impressed with him. And there's a window for every rider. You know, the things that you don't know, you're going to learn. You're going to pick up good habits from good riders. You're going to see races better with experience. And while you're young and your body is, you know, really physically fit, and you gain that experience, that window then is your prime. Some riders, that window stays open a really long time. Sometimes that window closes a little too fast, depending on injuries. But if he can stay healthy, I see a long, successful career for a kid who just really, like I said, has the right attitude and the work ethic to match.
Well, it's fun watching him have so much success here at the meet. And he's going to be on the 5 in here. Holly Dolly 10-1. This 5-year-old mare is going to make her return to the races off since December 21st.
Yeah, this went for trainer Ray Ashford. A lot of his horses are in Oklahoma at Remington Park, and you can see that this mare ran off a 5 in a row over at Remington, and then she came to Oaklawn Park, and sometimes it just does not work out. For some reason, the Remington races, and this horse actually won at Zia too as well, so a mare by Brody's Cause for Mr. Durant. Pretty some fast races. Needs to get back to where she was at some of those Remington Park races.
That is taxed, though, right there, and that's what everyone on the board has to beat anyway. Former Black-Eyed Susan winner. We saw her compete in the Alabama a couple of summers ago. Here she is in the American Beauty, running 3rd in a stakes, sprinting on a cutback in distance.
Yeah, and listen, you know, when she cut back in distance way back when in March of last year, she won off the layoff, and I think Randy's always wanted to maybe cut her back and think that she's a one-turn sprinter. I remember asking him that day, he said good horses just win races. Now, if you look at her PPs, she's just a different horse with Lasix and without Lasix. Her 2 wins on the paper with Lasix are just open length wins where she was just able to stalk. She even got left in that one race where she had the comeback race. So it's hard to take her at 2-1, but I think Lasix is going to help her out today.
Call to post for this feature on the Sunday card here at Oaklawn. We're going to see in a moment Tanya Showers, who's taking a lot of money on the inside for Chris Hartman.
Nobody lets the bugle eat more like Greg Wolf.
Got to hear the call to post. What do you think about Tanya Showers?
Honest filly. I mean, to be honest, she really is. She usually brings her A effort, and her last time, her last 2 efforts, though, she's really gotten left in the gate. If she can kind of get rid of those woes, she's a player in here, definitely.
And 2 of her 3 career wins have come here at Oaklawn.
So she's a saltier race than you think. Because I know that Norm even thought Effortlessly Elegant was one of his better fillies, that she's had so many hiccups. She's now a 5-year-old mare, but she can even throw in a nice race every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, she did 2 back this meet last year.
Yeah.
Didn't back it up, unfortunately. Here is Tanya Showers. Get Rafael Bejarano having a huge Sunday afternoon.
He really is. And this is a horse that does like the racetrack. 5 for 7 in the trifecta with a couple wins.
4 wins for Bejarano already. Effortlessly Elegant, off since June of last year.
Seems like she runs better off the layoff. She has a couple wins in this scenario. She's going to have to run her best.
There's Taxed.
I like her today. I don't know if I like her 2-1.
Tyler Bacon on Holly Dolly.
A horse that was running him off at Remington Park and Zia, now to get back to that form.
American Band, Walter De La Cruz rides.
John Horan won one earlier in the day, and this is a horse that every once in a while wins a banger race. When you're 7 for 15 lifetime, you're pretty quality.
Several coming out of stakes races. She's one of them. Condensation, Steve Asmussen's son Keith aboard.
Yeah, a horse that gets the Lasix back on and comes off a decent win, 2 back.
4-time winner, Pharaoh's Heart for David Jacobson.
Yeah, that horse just went through. That horse comes from way out of it, and then the 9. Oh, wait, they're switching around
backwards.
on us, isn't it?
One Happy Mama, we saw blinkers on the 9. Speedster, and here's Pharaoh's Heart.
Yeah, Pharaoh's Heart. A horse that had a no-chance slot out of the 11 slot last time while getting Lasix back on. So there's so many different horses and fillies and mares in here that got chances. She's 8 now. I don't know if you want to take some of the younger horses out.
Well, back to Taxed. Mig, she's the favorite. She's 2-1. What are you looking for today?
I really like what I see from Tax today. I've been here for her last 2 starts, and I have to say, I think she's really kind of got to her optimum fitness level. Her coat is terrific. Randy Moss has two really, fancied runners here, but I prefer Tax. And she comes in off a sharp work, and I think that's just kind of signifying that she's in very good form right now. They stretched her out, then they came back sprinting, and now we got a little continuity coming back sprinting. I think you'll see a really good version of Tax today. And, listen, she's by Collected, so you got to like the name. Taxed, right? The 5, Holly Dolly with Tyler Bacon aboard. This mare is 6 for 12 lifetime. I agree with Paul that form at Remington and Zia doesn't always translate, but I felt like she had no chance in the Poinsettia last time. She just didn't break sharply. It took her out of her game. Now, she does run with an extension blinker, and sometimes horses that run with an extension blinker, if they are not perfectly square looking down the racetrack, they miss the break because that blinker cup will kind of inhibit their ability to see the break coming. Horses don't react to a bell or anything like that. The doors move, they move, and Holly Dolly runs her best when she's forward, involved. You get Tyler Bacon, who I think that's one of his strengths, and I think the 10-1 is too big a price. Yes, she does have to show she can do it at Oaklawn, but she's a winning profile, with 6 wins from 12 starts in 4 seconds. And the 8, Pharaoh's Heart, the 8-year-old by American Pharaoh, your Triple Crown winner, she can be very, very difficult. She is acting the best I've seen her act going back to when she was running in New York 2 years ago. She saddled better, even though they did it out in the winner's circle, out of that tighter paddock. She didn't break the post braid. She stayed with the pony and stayed in the post braid. Normally she has to take right off. She is acting really, really good, really, really comfortable. And I think she's going to sit a good trip from the outside. And I think we're going to see a really good version of Pharaoh's Heart today as well, guys, at 8-1.
That'll be something as an 8-year-old. She could put together a big one here. She's been first or second 10 of her 18 career starts. She showed last time out she still has talent.
Yeah, she ran well last time out. I thought that was a better look race. She was hung out wide most of the way, and she kept on pursuing the winner. Now she gets Ricardo Santana. Now she's shown speed in the past. The gate has been her worst enemy, hopefully loading second to last. As you see the 6 on the screen, American Band. This is the interesting horse for me. Like, I do like Tax. If I was going to go somewhere else,
she looks great.
This would be the horse, because when she gets Lasix, she's a different horse, and she shows some speed. She blew him off the track 3 starts ago, and she was ton in hand. And, Walter De La Cruz is very good. Him and John Horan are very good together. Even though John doesn't strike at a high rate, his horses do pay a lot. So I think the 6 is a major player in here.
Well, this time last year, J.K. Taxt was looking at a prep on her way to the Grade 1 Apple Blossom. This time, 6 furlong sprints.
Yeah, it's funny, Wolf, you actually pointed out my point about Taxt. And the disclaimer is that maybe she found what she wants to be doing now, which is sprinting, and maybe she'll win here. But at a short price, I'm going to tell you why I'm against her. This is the time of the year where we have horses that are on the Kentucky Oaks, Kentucky Derby Trail. And look, let's be honest, in this country and in our sport, the casual fan pays attention to those big days. And when Taxt won the Black-Eyed Susan the day before the Preakness, she then became one of those horses that has that name recognition that for the remainder of her career, she's going to continue to be bet probably a little bit more than she should. And I think that's what we're seeing here today. Now, with that said, maybe, just maybe, they've found out what it is that she wants to do at this point of her career. She ran well last time. The speed figure wasn't blazing, but she did seem to kind of jump up a little bit going the sprint distance last time. But for me, I'm going to try to beat her in here, and I'm going to take a shot with a long shot here, mostly because Paulie picked one yesterday and really just made everyone else look really silly. I'm going to try to get even with him here. I probably won't, but I'm going to try with the 9, One Happy Mama, a horse that has a bunch of early speed, puts blinkers on, and adds Lasix. A lot of changes, drawn towards the outside, and I love that trip at Oaklawn Park when you're kind of towards the outside, stalking. Now, look, she hasn't always finished her races, but maybe the Lasix will help. Maybe the blinkers will help her keep her focus in here as well. She's a big, long shot. Trust me, Tax is more likely of a winner. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. I just think the Tax is a little bit overbet, and I think the 9, One Happy Mama, is a little bit ignored.
Iowa bred.
I like it.
Who is, the fact she's alone coming in fresh off a long time away, but she is seriously quick, adding blinkers. They want to go to the front, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, she's run some fast times. 110 and change over there at Prairie Meadows is rolling in some stakes races. And JK makes a good point. She's been in all kinds of stakes races. The LASIK's back on, blinkers. And you're right. She should be blazing from the outside slot in here. Maybe Holly Dolly can be fresh in here. The 5, the 3 might be fresh. I would think the 9 gets to the front end. We'll see if she has the fitness. But she's been blazing in the morning too, Greg. Look at all those workouts in the morning.
A lot of bullets in the morning leading up to this return, including a couple of quickest of 79, quickest of 42 on this track at Oaklawn. And I wouldn't think, I know she's drawn outside, but the way she wins is on the front end. Why take away her weapon?
Yeah, it's true. If they break, I would think she's kind of best when she breaks free. When she gets to the turn in front, she's won all of her races except one where she just basically got run down. But, maybe an honest little filly here.
Fun to watch what she can do. Yeah. So it's one JK likes here at 20-1. For Tax, she's 8-5 right now. You just saw her in the background, the great filly. I thought one of her best efforts really ever was around this time last year. She came back off the bench, and she returned for her 4-year-old season. That sprint that she won in that allowance optional claiming race, I love that performance from her. And maybe she just is better being a sprinter.
I think she is. I really do. And I think 7 furlongs is probably what she really wants. I remember talking to Randy about her, and he goes, you know what, I think it's 7 furlongs. Even the mile, although she did win the 1-turn mile at Churchill Downs, I think that's kind of gone away a little bit against the elite horses. But now back against this kind of group, which is a sharp group here. I think LASIK's getting on, but I'm with you. I think the 6 furlongs is now starting to hit her right between the eyes. And Mig mentioned that bullet drill maybe just sharpened her up a little bit just to be a little bit closer to the pace.
Yeah, March 2nd, quickest of 75 runners in a 4-furlong move. She's the 8-5 choice. The 4, Taxed, former Black-Eyed Susan winner for Randy Morse. Christian Torres in the irons. There she is loading up. Sunday feature from Oaklawn Park. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
Post position at number 8. 2 back, Holly Dolly. And to the outside, One Happy Mama. One Happy Mama at a big price going into the gate. Looking to give Cindy Murphy her 2nd win on the program today. Rafael Bejarano, he's got 4 wins, and Nick Juarez with a pair of victories today. One Happy Mama still working with her. 9-5 for number 4, Tax. 5-2 for the number 2, Tanya Showers. And One Happy Mama still being a little bit reluctant here. Looks like Cindy Murphy's going to hop off. They're going to try to load One Happy Mama without the rider. And that did the trick. She actually went right in. So Cindy Murphy hopping back aboard. We're ready to go. And they're off. One Happy Mama on the far outside blasts out of the gate and goes to the lead from American Band, Effortlessly Elegant. Those 2 a joint 2nd as they're strung out early. Condensation in 4th. Tanya Showers settling in midfield, 2 clear of Pharaoh's Heart with Holly Dolly to the inside. And Tax will have to pass them all, but I'll tell you this, she's got a real fast pace to chase. One Happy Mama takes a hold of the bit and sprints 21 3/5 seconds. That's moving over this Oaklawn dirt today. One Happy Mama going to be tough to keep this up here as she strings them out 2 lengths clear of Effortlessly Elegant. Gap of 5 to American Band, sent along a little bit from 3rd. Tanya Showers shoved upon with Condensation coming to the top of the lane. Pharaoh's Heart is next, and the other gray Taxed is moving. On the outside has plenty of work to do. Top of the lane, One Happy Mama after the fast pace, she's done. And Effortlessly Elegant finds herself in front, kicks on. Effortlessly Elegant, a 3-length lead with a furlong to go. American Band is 2nd. Tax coming down the center of the track like a rocket and up the inside. inside. Holly Dolly producing a flying finish. Tax got the jump on Holly Dolly. American Band between them. Taxed on the outside. Tax gets the win over American Band, Holly Dolly, and Effortlessly Elegant.
What a rally from very far back for Taxed.
Yeah, when the chiclet's not on the screen, you get a little worried, right? And wow, the 9 went out there just blazing fast, and Cindy Murphy could just not hold on. And Tax was able to use kind of the 6 as the target here. American Band, who kind of had to chase that pace. Walter De La Cruz, you could tell, was looking back to see who was behind him. Holly Dolly rushes to the rail here for Tyler Bacon. But Tax is just a different horse with Lasix, but got a great setup too.
5th win of her career, and unleashes a big run here in the stretch. Let's get the view from behind to see her run down these 2 in front.
And you can see now the 6 is overtaken, and here's Tax. You can see Walter De La Cruz trying to get his horse to see Tax, but she's by him already. Now he's got to hold on for Holly Dolly, which I think he might have held on for second. But look at the 5 flying on the get out there. But very close for second.
That was fun to watch. Good for Taxed. He's been a very good one for Randy Morris.
It is, and it's been a confusing one for Randy because he knows that she's talented and she can run races like this. And he's been telling me, like, just 7 furlongs is it for her. And you could tell, like, today she got a good setup for the 6 furlongs, and I think she's just going to stay around 1 turn, 6, 7 furlongs. If she can find the right setup, a 1-turn mile too as well.
Wins as the 2-1 favorite here. 1:10-3 final time. Former Black Eyed Susan winner Tax, now a sprinter, and collects another victory here. 2 for 3 now at this distance sprinting. Sam F. Davis winner. John Hancock heading to Virginia. Grade 3 Virginia Derby, 50 points to the winner to get in that Kentucky Derby starting gate. We'll have a preview coming up.
Charge It is pouring it on, winning the Dwyer by the length of the stretch. Charge It wins it convincingly in this Grade 2 Suburban.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage. America's Day at the Races, with the finale still to come on the Sunday card in Hot Springs, brought to you by Naira Bets, where you can play it all, bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Taxed. Former Black-Eyed Susan winner back into the winner's circle for the 5th time in her career for trainer Randy Morse.
Yeah, congratulations. The Mare collected, like Mick was saying. The Yankee Gentleman Mare Yankee Union, now 2 for 10 at Oaklawn, 5 for 22 lifetime, and she's getting close to being a millionaire.
Yeah, this is going to put her very close to $900,000 in earnings with this 2025 season just getting started for her. Look at this down the stretch.
Meanwhile, the 5 did rip the 6. Now you look at it, he did. He ripped the 6 for second. He was rolling. She was rolling. Holly Dolly with Tyler Bacon riding the rail. And there you see 4, 5, 6. Those are good if you have them in dog numbers. 91.75 for that triple. That's actually a nice triple.
$6.80 for the win for Taxed. And they will close out the Sunday card strong with this allowance race, first level allowance, 6 furlong sprint. In the nightcap coming up, Even Money GT 500. Mike Maker Barn, Ricardo Santana Jr., who's closing in on 2,000 career wins, by the way. And this 5-year-old coming off an impressive victory last time out.
Yeah, this horse, you know this horse probably better than me. Been running here at Aqueduct and just parked the last time by 7.5 lengths. And it just shows you when you get the purses that you're getting in Oaklawn Park, they're looking for a $130,000 purse today. And GT 500 right now is Even Money. I think you're running into a little bit deeper waters, though, today. I don't know if the horse should be Even Money.
All right, we'll dive in deeper to that field in just a little bit. We got another Derby prep on the horizon next weekend. Virginia Derby, Grade 3, mile and an eighth and a $500,000 purse for these 3-year-olds, where as of now, Sam F. Davis winner, John Hancock, lining up to run for Brad Cox. Mike Smith named to ride. Of course, Brad Cox with Rapture as well.
Yeah, 3 different riders for John Hancock, but this was his game win. And listen, Owen Almighty, you can say whatever you want. What happened yesterday at Tampa, easy lead or not, he won the race pretty fair and square and won it easily. And this horse was able to outdo him, and they were pretty much clear from poster at the time, about 3 lengths clear. But he showed a little bit of gameness. He's undefeated. It worries you when you look at Flavien Prat goes to another runner in this race. Mike Smith doesn't ride a lot for Brad Cox, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Pratt named on Rapture. I was probably most impressed with John Hancock by the fact that it's tough to go from 6 furlongs to 2 turns in a mile and a 16th, especially when you're battling a horse on the front end, as he did, and to be able to come away with a victory.
He's got, he's the type of horse, like, he's been working okay at Payson. It's just whether, and Mike is the kind of guy, too. Smith, maybe that's what Brad is thinking. This is a horse that needs to be freewheeling on the front end, and Mike is one of those guys who will let his horse run from the gate.
Meanwhile, Bob Baffert showing up. A Rad Ortiz Jr. named to ride. That's Getaway Car. What can you tell us, JK?
Well, I can tell you that Bob Baffert is back in the Kentucky Derby, and all of these Derby preps are going to have to deal with him shipping out horses, right? That's not his A-team Getaway Car, right? He tried this horse in Sunland. Excuse me. But this is what happens. Baffert's got a lot of good horses, a lot of talented horses, and what he'll do is he'll find a way to put him into different spots. What I'll tell you about Getaway Car is Getaway Car has speed, and he's got nice final speed figures. And I think the combination of those two things goes a long way. The biggest obstacle, I think, for Getaway Car is going to be Rapture drawn towards his outside for Brad Cox. The same could be said for Rapture towards Getaway Car. They both have similar styles. They both have trainers in which don't take away speed from their horses, especially in these longer distance dirt races. Getaway Car is likely going to be overbet in this spot, and I would look to try to find someone else, and even a horse like Rapture who's drawn towards his outside, who's got some nice numbers that are trending in the right direction. Getaway Car can win, but everyone else is going to see Bob Baffert, and they'll pop on their silver wigs and go to the windows and bet.
And, our colleague has a horse in here that is coming off a really good effort. It was a multiple winner, Authentic Gallop for Tom Amos. I like that race from him last start.
Well, he took the blinkers off, Tom, and the horse exploded last time out with an 84 buyer. Needs to step it up a little bit. But Javier Castellano we'll get in the irons for Tom. And he doesn't ride much. I was trying to look. The last time he's ridden for Tom, it's been like almost 2-3 years ago.
Saratoga, I believe Serengeti Empress when she, I want to say, was still a maiden.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But listen, it's not. Avi's a pretty big-time rider when it comes to big races.
Upcoming road to the Kentucky Derby. So this race next week, 50 points on the line, and then the 100-point races begin the following week. The big ones, Louisiana Derby and Jeff Ruby Stakes will kick it off.
I like it. I like, Colonial Downs entering the mix, obviously, with the Virginia Derby, but then the 100-point races start, and we'll see what happens. See what Lonnie Briley does when it comes to coal battle for the Arkansas Derby, where everybody goes, Sovereignty in the Florida Derby, and then obviously the horses out west too.
Nightcap from Oaklawn, 14 minutes away, and the 6-5 favorite GT 500. Can this one go back-to-back after that impressive effort last start here in New York? We'll be back.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes on June 7th at Saratoga Racecourse. Don't miss your chance to witness the historical third leg of the Triple Crown. Get your tickets today by visiting belmontstakes.com/tickets.
At the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, we believe in giving every thoroughbred a second chance.
Thanks to you, the owners, trainers, breeders, and every supporter, you've created a ripple effect of change that's helping these magnificent animals move on to new careers and safe, fulfilling lives after racing.
Every single donation, whether big or small, is contributing to a brighter future.
But this race is just beginning. Because of you, we have gained incredible momentum, and we're ready for more.
New York breds. Race them.
Respect them.
Bet them.
Respect them.
Breed them.
Respect them.
Buy them.
Respect them.
Train them for a second career.
Respect them.
Join us in respecting thoroughbreds at every stage of life. Learn more at nybreds.com.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Most horses retire 4, 5, 6 years old, but they can live to be 30. Every stake that races needs an aftercare foundation. It was all started by Bill Walmsley, so we got together, got with Jennifer Hoyt, we got a website, we got a Facebook page, and we could rehabilitate and retire the thoroughbreds that have raced at Oaklawn.
We started off very slow. I think we maybe had 6 horses the first year we were in the program. Overall, we've probably retired and rehomed over 50 horses. We do ask that every owner that donates a horse into the program donate the horse with $1,000. That just helps care for the horse for the first month or so that we have the horse in our care. Every year we do get some good funding, but it's amazing how quickly that goes during the summer and fall when we're taking care of about 25 to 30 horses. At the end of the 22 race meet, we implemented the Ring the Bell program. Ron Moquette brought it to us. He provided the bell. And so that April, that last month of that race meet, we gave owners the opportunity to ring the bell every time they won a race. And we raised almost $9,000 in just that month. It's now something that they look forward to doing. It's a sense of pride. I'm gonna ring the bell today because that means they won a race. 2 years ago, the HPPA installed an equicizer at Oaklawn, and that's been a huge fundraiser. Trainers pay $10 per horse every time they put it on that equicize wheel, and all that money comes to our program. Each horse has its own adoption fee. We usually set that based on what the horse will be doing in a second career. It ranges from between $500 and $1,500.
These horses have such a great purpose. They want to do something. They want to be a little girl's horse. They want to be ridden. They want to trail ride. They want to event. They want to be a hunter jumper. They want to do something else. And it gives them an opportunity to live a long, prosperous, wonderful life outside the racetrack. But we need that resource everywhere so a person can responsibly retire their horse and have it taken care of.
Mig, it's a great program. Every time we hear that bell, and we've been educating people to watch this show now about what it means. It's a great thing for retired thoroughbreds.
It's a great thing, and every time a bell rings, a horse gets a donation, Greg. I think it's fantastic. It's a perfect setup. Everybody's happy when they win. They're in the winner's circle. That feeling is infectious. The horses just gave you a great gift, so now you have an opportunity to give a gift back. And I believe it's incumbent upon all of us, particularly within the industry, who have made our living through horses. I have my entire life, other than paper routes before I went onto the racetrack, is how I made my living. So it's incumbent upon us to give back, make sure every horse has a, certainly a soft landing, a place where they have a dignified, safe home. And they talked about it. These horses like to have a job, and thoroughbreds are so game. They pick up lessons so quickly. That's why they're so good at so many multiple disciplines. I think it's great what they do there. We already have a bell in Saratoga, guys. I think it's time to bring the bell concept to New York.
Yeah, I love what they've done. They've made it fun. It's infectious. You hear that bell ring, and then everyone wants to keep doing it. I mean, obviously, you've been out there a lot. You've seen it take place.
Yeah, the connections love to ring the bell, and it's just a great idea Ronnie Moquett came up with. And like Mick said, these horses give us pride and joy, and most of the time they're on the racetrack for 3, 4, 5 years. They live to their 25 and 30, so we're only getting a glimpse of their life. So, to see what they're doing afterwards. And like Mick said, some of them are becoming hunter jumpers. Some of them are becoming just horses on regular farms as pets and stuff like that. It's an unbelievable program, and I'm with Mick. I think it should come here to New York, and it should be at every racetrack, to be honest with you.
We've seen the good they've done, too, with incarcerated individuals, helping rehab them. So many great uses after their careers on the racetrack are over. This nightcap 6 furlongs entry-level allowance race, it's 4-year-olds and up. And still all that money going to GT 500 here. It almost seems like public feels like it's a foregone conclusion. Nobody else can win this race.
Yeah, I mean, the horse did run a monster race last time. And if he runs anywhere near that race, he's definitely warranted that even money. But there's some other horses in there that might be able to challenge him. I don't know if I'd take that even money.
Get to him in a moment. I get the 5, the 10, taking a little bit of money in here. The 10, Mischievous M. It's a horse who's quick and wants to be 4. Let's start with Bourbon's Fault from the rail.
I'm sure a lot of people have said that early in the morning, but Rocco Bowen will be aboard at 25 to 1.
I'm Wide Awake, John Horan.
I think this horse has got a big look because I think this horse could be the speed of the speed.
2 Back was a winner here, beating Lunar Module. GT 500 with Ricardo Santana Jr.
Yeah, and the horse I think is getting bet after that monster win and 2 Bullet Works at Oaklawn.
Shackelford Strong is a big price. Jimmy DeVito.
Yeah, this one coming in from Stickley, Illinois at Hawthorne.
Trust Daddy. Keith Asmussen rides for Dad.
This horse has been in pretty good form. Remington Park to Sam Houston.
Yeah, back-to-back wins at Remington and Sam Houston. 31 to 1 on Manta Ray as well. Walter De La Cruz.
Yeah, John Moran has a horse that's going to go to the front, and Manta Ray is a horse that's going to come from out of it.
Lunar Module been beaten by a couple of these. He's going to have to duel with again.
Jordan Blair's having a sneaky good meet, and this horse just missed last time out.
Jalen Run taking some money, and this man is having the hot hand today. 4-win day for Bejarano.
Yeah, and this horse is a horse that kind of runs in and out. 2 Back, a really good race. Last time, not so good.
Tyler Bacon, we showed you the feature on him earlier. 3rd in the standings.
A horse that's in very good form. 3 wins in the last 4 starts, so I can understand why this horse is getting bet a little bit.
He is quick early, too. And then Pineland off since May of last year for Lindsay Schultz.
I always look at Lindsay's horses because she's such a – wow, he looked amazing on the racetrack. First time gelding. Might be a good look to throw the 11 in maybe in your tries and supers.
Even money, though, Mig. GT 500 coming in from New York, taking all the money.
Taking all the money off of that huge effort last time. But guys, don't you see a lot of speed signed on here? I think there's going to be a lot of company up on the lead. I can see a scrum going on, 4 or 5 horses. You got I'm Wide Awake on the inside, who looks great, has been flashing good speed. When he runs his A race, he's the horse that is going to be up on the pace. GT500, his big win was going gate to wire, running them off their feet. I just think it's going to be contested and heated, and that led me to kind of look through who do I like as potentially a horse that sits the trip. Doesn't have to be out the back, although we saw Tax come from another area code to win the feature race today. And the horse that I landed on was the 5 Trust Daddy. Now, he has to show that he can do this at Oaklawn Park, but he's a horse that is versatile. He can sit up close. He can come from off the pace. And I just think he's the one who might be the beneficiary of what I anticipate to be a very, very fast pace on a track that has not played extremely kind to front runners. So we'll see how it plays out, but I'm going to go with Trust Daddy to come with a later run.
And it's the hunch play with Keith riding for Dad. 5-1. What is that form from Remington and Houston? Are those races good enough to contend here with the best from some of the others?
Yeah, I think some of them are. Listen, the Remington Park races are really good races. They haven't transferred great at Oaklawn Park, but when a horse is winning by 7 lengths and 5 lengths, he's obviously getting in good form and gotten into the Steve Asmussen program and is producing. Now, last time out was 3rd, but I mean, lost all chance of the break. So this horse should have actually won his last 3 races. And I can, Keith gets aboard. And he's been a horse before. But this horse is a different horse. I mean, the horse got left last time and probably should have won that race. But that was going 5 furlongs. And maybe the distances would be my only worry. You look at the 4 there. Shackelford Strong at a big price. That horse should show some speed. Mig is right. There could be a ton of pace. I told you I like the 2 a little bit. I think the 8 is a ridiculous price. Lunar Module, because if you look at Lunar Module, the 3 races that this horse has had underneath Jordan Blair's care have been very good. The horse had some brutal trip 2 back, lost to a next out winner 3 back, just lost to I'm Wide Awake when I'm Wide Awake had a 5-length lead. Well, I'm Wide Awake's not going to be 5 lengths clear of this field. So he was coming to him late, Lunar Module, and I just think today, with more pace in the race, that Lunar Module could sit a very good trip, and you're getting 14-1, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, amazingly here, Lunar Module is just going to just miss to this front runner. Really makes a race of it.
Yeah, you can see I'm Wide Awake. This is what he's probably going to try to do today, try to bottom out the field. Tyler Bacon was able to do it, and he was breathing fire towards the end of the race as Lunar Module was coming at him, but the wire came in time, won it pretty comfortably. But I just think with all the other speed in this race, you're getting 14-1 on a Jordan Blair runner that I think a lot of people don't know about Jordan. Martin Schwann will be aboard, and I think he's a good finishing rider.
Meanwhile, Mig, no one in this field has won more than a 37-1 shot on the board. Shackelford Strong.
Greg, I got to tell you, I'm watching this horses warm up, and this horse just kept grabbing my eye. He could not look any better in the warm-up. You get a 10-pound apprentice, Jimmy DeVito. I almost said Danny DeVito there, so my apologies. But Jimmy DeVito is a horseman that's been winning for as long as I can remember. And this horse looks like he is fit and ready to fire off the bench. And at 36-1 now, I just would have been remiss not to jump back on and mention him because I could not take my eyes off him as well as he warmed up.
All right, well, let's dig in a little deeper on this one here. What do you think? Off since, that's a long time away, isn't it? Hasn't raced since July of last year, but knows how to win.
Jimmy DeVito's forgot more about racing than all of us together of ever. I mean, he's really sharp. And I will say this, the couple years I was there, the horses coming in from Chicago really held their own. This horse was in good form. And now you're getting a bug here with really low weights. And I would think Jimmy would have this horse ready. 11-time winner at 28 starts. Those horses like to win races like that. I don't know if you 37-1. My goodness. 4-5. Did you expect this?
That's awfully short. That was a big number though last start, wasn't it? It's in pretty good form too for GT500. Let's go to JK.
Yeah, guys, GT500 looks very tough in here. And I want to stay here for a second before I give you my pick of the 10. But the 3 GT500, when you see Steve Asmussen in the running lines claim a horse twice, I look to that as like, oh, the winningest trainer in North America thought enough to go in to try to claim this horse twice, once for $20,000, once for $32,000. He obviously thought there was something there. Then the horse gets to Mike Maker. He wins on the synthetic and then comes back and runs his lifetime best on the dirt. So obviously this horse had some talent, and it seems as if Mike Maker has figured it out. The problem is that he's 4-5, and he has a horse to his outside in Shackelford Strong that has a ton of early speed based on his last race that is likely going to be problematic for him. I'm going to land on the 10, Mischievous M, who's drawn towards the outside, can let those two ding-dong on the front end and sit right outside and find themselves in a great spot to take over. Look, the 3 is 1,000%, which is not a real percent, 100% the horse to beat in here. But I'm going to take the 10, who I believe is a little bit of a better price considering the even money and the pressure you're going to get with the 3.
And a game plan for Mischievous M, it's got to be just fire away, right?
The horse is in really good form. I have no argument with JK's pick there at all. And, you know, they dropped down to get the money last time, and you get the money. So the time before that, he beat B-Sud and Nullify. Nullify came back to win very nicely. So this horse is in very good form. Timothy Martin knows to do with a good horse, and you get Tyler Bacon aboard. So I think that horse has got, and when you get that outside draw, you get that tactability, you know. I wonder what the 11 is going to do, Pineland. The horse had shown speed, and I know Lindsay always thought that horse had a little bit of talent. He's 5 now with only 6 starts, so he's going to have to step it up sooner or later. Wide open board.
GT500, he's won without the lead. Did you feel he has to have the lead in here, or can he sit off?
I think he can sit off, especially the way he won last time. In the race before that at 7 furlongs, 110 to the 6 furlong marker, and he kind of kept on going even though he was 6 wide. So I think he can win from off the pace. I do think the 2 is dangerous if they don't really go fast, and like if they do go fast, I think the 8's the other horse.
Good race to close out this Sunday card at Oaklawn. Even money on the 3 GT500. Looking to go back-to-back for Mike Maker. Matt Dinnerman the call.
Pineland coming up. Go we get. We're ready to go in the finale. And Laruff in the nightcap. Trust Daddy, a little bit sluggish coming out of there, and drops to the back of the field. GT500, where he likes to be on the lead. I'm Wide Awake matching him, and these two hook up with 5 furlongs to go. Run, Jalen, Run, Mischievous M, they're side by side. Lunar Module right behind them, inside within 2.5 lengths of the lead. Pineland on a hold. Shackelford Strong is next down on the fence, 2.5 clear of Trust Daddy, who's third last now. Bourbon's Fault parked outside of him, and Manta Ray is last as they charge into the 4-turn, where the leader is I'm Wide Awake, a neck in front. GT500 right there pressing from the outside. These two are a length and a half clear of Run, Jalen, Run. Runs in third with Mischievous M. They're still racing as a pair. Then comes Lunar Module. He's under a ride on the fence. Shackelford Strong right behind the leaders, searching for racing room as they come down the lane. GT500, I'm Wide Awake, putting away GT500. GT500 needs to find more. He's in trouble, and he's dropping back. Now Mischievous M's coming on strongly down the center, and up the inside, Lunar Module's finding a second lease of life. Lunar Module inside of I'm Wide Awake. They're going at it in the final 100 yards, and it's Lunar Module in a photo with I'm Wide Awake. The heads were up and down. It was too tight to call. I'm Wide Awake. Game as the day is long. Lunar Module is right there in the photo.
9-1 or 5-1. The 2 I'm Wide Awake. The 8 Lunar Module. Photo finish.
This is a bob of the heads. And the inside usually gets a bob. I want to say the 2 got the best of the bobs. Ooh. And, you know, that angle is kind of tricky, and the inside usually gets the angle. Mig knows that too. Being down there, I've lost so many photos because that inside usually gets it, but I didn't really see the 8 backing up, finding new life. Martin Schwann was always having a good time of it down there on the rail. He rode the rail. You could see Nicky Warish trying to point his horse to see the 8, and the 2 responded. Ooh. That's really tight.
So tough to tell just exactly where that line is. One more look at it. The 8 in front there, still in front. 2 puts the nose in. Back and forth we go. Where's that wire? Last bit of it. Was it the 2?
I would say 8 just because the inside, or it's a dead heat. I mean, because the last race, I thought the 6 got a clear second and the 5 rolled up the rail and got him, but it's really hard on that angle, and the inside does usually get the advantage.
We will wait for the photo in a thriller to close out this Sunday card. Nick Juarez, I'm Wide Awake, running a big one. Martin Schwann, Lunar Module. Nothing separating them.
Is that right? The 8 went from 12 to 1 to 5 to 1?
Yeah, was he was that big? 12?
12 to 1, yeah. Wow. And some people think they changed the board.
Camera showing Lunar Module. And it is indeed the 8 just posted. Who gets the win here? 8, 2, 10, 11. Wow.
Jordan Blair's a heck of a trainer. This is a good ride by Martin Schwann. He was able to save ground, didn't really panic to it all, and was able to ride the rail. And the rail was good today. You saw Tyler Bacon coming up the rail, and Mig was right. Coming from off the pace was the way to go today.
Lunar Module in a thriller to close out this Sunday card at Oaklawn. What a week we had. Major Derby prep. Horse of the Year back in a doing what she needed to do type of performance. And now we've circled April 12th on the calendar to see Torpedo Anna next. We're back with you Friday, 1:30 Eastern start time on FS2. Torpedo Anna, reigning Horse of the Year. 9 wins now from 11 starts after that win in the Grade 2 Azeri. Apple Blossom is next for her. In the Tampa Bay Derby, gate to wire under Rat Ortiz Jr. Owen Almighty, will he go to the Derby or will it be Pat Day Miles? Some decisions to make.